I'm gonna fucking shoot somebody.
I'm working for your mother.
How you doing, Andrew?
No, I had to help my mom's out, all right?
Some kind of freaky Lou or something. Wackadoo.
I'm making an offer you can't refuse.
We couldn't unionize that shopping room if we wanted to.
Why is that?
You didn't get a look at who works there, did you?
Yeah, she got the same thing as you, boss. A big nothing.
Those are works of art.
Unbelievable. He's picking up chicks. Go hobnob a little, you know?
You can pick up your copy at Barnes and Noble.
We gotta get out of here. The cops are on their way.
What the hell was that?
Dutchie, what the hell? You had to bring up that I shot the guy?
Did I hear party? You're gonna pay me, so why should I play?
Hey, leave me alone. I don't wake up pretty.
My only plans for the night? He's making hot cocoa. July 29th. He's getting an operation. On his wang.
Goodbye, Andy.
We know each other since we're kids, Tom.
I'd take being tied up in a trunk over this any day.
What have we become? United in hate. When did we become a divided state? Don't hate me because I'm not like you. Don't hate me, it's just a point of view. When did we become divided by hate? What have we done? Divided state. Don't hate me because I'm not like you.
Chocolate-covered electric jungle habitat. This is the one, the only New York Hardcore Chronicles live. Show number 6 bazillion. What's going on, everybody? I'm excited about today's show. And I bet you are too. We're going to talk some film today. Always enjoy talking about film. You know, taking a little bit of a break. And you know what? RS70 in the house. We're going to be talking graffiti today too, bro. Yep. Our guest today is an old school New York graffiti guy. So we're going to be getting down on some graffiti stuff too. So, you know, how's everybody? And what's up, Jeff? What's up, Victoria? Yeah, it's going to be a killer show. We're in the business of doing killer shows, m'lady. It's what we do here. If we don't have it down by now, man, that's right, Laurie Dawn. What's up? Yeah. What's happening in Scotland? All right. What's happening in London? Go ahead, London. Here you go, man. So what's happening, Larry Kelly? What's happening in Massachusetts? You know, that's right. Yes, we're excited to talk with our guest today. Lot going on. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, and we are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, The Organic Grill, the Texas Silver Rush, DTFM Vinyl Distro, 126 Hardcore Clothing, Grunge and Grime Soap Company, DeWolf Publishing, and since 1992, Generation Records has been a mainstay of the New York metropolitan area music scene. Today, they offer a diverse selection of new and used rock, jazz, indie, hip-hop, punk, hardcore, metal, blues soundtrack, and reggae LPs, as well as T-shirts, posters, and other merchandise. They buy used record collections and music memorabilia and will pay you top dollar for them. House calls made for large collections in the tri-state area. Call or email generationrecords@gmail.com. Follow them on Facebook and on Instagram. And while we're at it talking about records, DTFM Vinyl Distro, who I just spoke to Devin yesterday, they're moving into the mall in Fargo, North Dakota. DTFM Vinyl Distro is a record store that specializes in underground music as opposed to overground music, punk, ska, hardcore, metal, and more, located in the heart of Fargo, North Dakota's industrial district, although I'm led to believe that's about to change. Shop in person or online at www.dtfmvinyldistro.com, where the motto is death to false metal. That said, speaking of death to false metal,
Hail Satan. Good morning.
So what's the opposite of false metal?
What's that?
What's the opposite of false metal?
True metal.
Okay. Are you true metal?
Tried and true to the bone. To the bone.
Does Manowar consider themselves true metal?
Well, yeah, they're the ones that actually coined the phrase death to false metal. So I guess that makes them as you know,
It just goes to show whatever genre it is, whether it's hardcore, like we're real, we're keeping it real, or metal, we're true metal, you know.
right? Like, is there true rap and false rap? I mean,
I'm always very wary of anybody who says how real they are. You know, I'm 100% real.
we're unreal, keeping it unreal.
That's what I'm saying. That's how I sign the books. Keep it unreal. Fuck
That's a good
keeping it
idea.
real. Keep it unreal, man. Go off the rails and have a good time. Fuck keeping it real, man.
Oh,
You know what I'm
man.
saying?
So it's Sunday.
It's Sunday
Beautiful
shout out day.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna shout out Johnny Bagpipes, John Bernius. Threw a nice party. He throws his annual Bernius Fest every year, and we almost had a little scare because he was in a hospital, and he snuck out to be the party.
I saw that picture.
You know, and also Kerry Merkel from The Great Lie was at the party yesterday.
Is that right?
Nice guy, you know, really good guy, and you know what? It was good, a great day outside yesterday. Lots of people. He had a Black Sabbath band playing at the party. It was a good day.
Where was the party?
In Massapequa, out on Long Island, North Massapequa.
Was it in a club?
They quarter off their whole block.
Oh, I see.
No, it's like a block party. Yeah, they do it every. Last year, I don't think they could do it because of COVID, but every year, I think they've done it for like 15 years in a row. Other than that, so
all right. That said, That said, let's do photo of the day. All right.
Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, wrong answers only, please. Photo of the day. Boom. Oh, I know who this is. This is the Fontanas. I love the Fontanas. They're awesome. Fucking love the Fontanas. All right. Is it Rumpus Mafia? Is it a hardcore band? Is it Shout Out to Massapequa?
That's it. Hey, Lori doing?
Is it Jasta and Hatebreed? Good one. Good one, Scott Earth. Yep. Yeah. Is it Men with Hats? Yeah, right?
It is Men with Hats.
It's like they're a baseball team.
The drummer doesn't have a hat on.
Yeah. Is it Limp Bizkit? Is it Frat Rock? Is it Downset? Can we get Dr. Noah the Bad Brains on the show, Drew? You know, Gary's not coming on shows like this. I don't know. His health's not great. You know, he had a stroke a while back. Gary's not coming on a show like this. Neither's HR and neither's Daryl. I got news for you. I like his Judge shirt. Is it Echo and the Bunnymen? Do you remember my Echo and the Bunnymen story? It was Echo. It was Echo, and he was with the Bunnymen. We almost got into a scrap with Echo when I was with Biohazard out on the road. We almost got into a scrap with Echo and the Bunnymen. And those dudes ain't soft either, man. They're no joke.
Evan and the Bunnymen.
Yeah. All right, here's another one. For those that think this might be the Fontanas, I have news for you. All right. Here we go. Boom. Is it
Don Mattingly?
Is it Don and the Mattingleys? There you go. All right. Is it
does seem familiar.
Is it Dawning Man from Vermont? Is it Dominican Day Parade? All right. Right answers only, please. Here we go. I know this. I know the guy, the singer's in the chat room right now. Right answers only, please. The pointer. You know, I forgot to do that the other day when we were on stage. I was going to do that. I was going to be
that's right.
Okay. I was going to be like, this song, I want everybody to do the hardcore point. I'll have to remember that. Is it the finger pointers? Is it the gluten-free motherfuckers? Is it Scott Earth? Is it Whoa Ho Whoa Hodo for me. All right. All right. Does anyone know what band this is? Scott Earth is not a band. Scott Earth is
He's a planet.
is a is it Flat Earth? Is it Scott Earth? Is it the Pointer Brothers? Is it the Queen? Is it the Queers? All right.
I think everybody is in search of an answer here. I think.
Is it Sally Mae? What's up? Is it Silence Equals Death? Apparently, is it the Fontanas? Is it Shutdown? Is it Flat Earth Society? Is it all right? Go ahead. Well, who is this? Because it's not. Apparently, it is not Silence Equals Death.
I believe this is In Search Of, and this is according to my year. This is September 16th, 2006, at Fontana's, and which was one of those shows with like everyone gets hurt and Trapped Under Ice and a bunch of those bands. I think it was the last time I was at Fontana's, frankly.
Where was Fontana's?
Scott, where was Fontana's? You remember? It's somewhere deep in there.
Deep in Jersey?
No, in the city. Yeah, I wasn't going to Jersey.
I don't remember. What year was this?
2006.
Yeah, I wasn't
September 16th,
I wasn't in New York. I was missing out. Oh, Eldridge Street, Sid says. Scott doesn't remember.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, obviously, look. Oh, Chinatown. Oh, what's up, G-Man? Hope you're feeling
there he
all right.
is.
Yep. All right.
Yeah, this was I stumbled on these. I was digging deep today, and I was like, wow, I don't even think I've ever shown these to Scott. So I got to send him a bunch of pictures after this.
There you go, Scott. We're showing your first band so we can abuse you on the abuse you in front of the whole world.
I actually still have a sticker on my road case from that show.
Yeah. Yep.
But
is that right? Carnivore played at Fontana's? That's pretty hard.
I think did the Carnivore, the new Carnivore, you mean?
Carnivore.
Or the original Carnivore.
It got to be the revised Carnivore. You know? Right.
What are they called? Carnivore AD, I think they call them.
Yeah, with Joey Z, right?
Yeah, well, he only did a couple of. I think they went on without him, but he did. Right. He did the first reunion, I think.
Oh, maybe he's talking about Carnivore AD. Carnivore played at Fontana's for Cousin Joe's birthday. Okay, it was.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The Carnivore was it the Carnivore with Baron?
Oh, that's cool.
Hey, real quick before you go, coming up a week from today, Jerry A. from Poison Idea. There will be no show this Wednesday. We get a Wednesday off. We'll be back in a week with Jerry A. from Poison Idea. The Wednesday after that, Angelo Moore from Fishbone and Aaron Collins. Speaking of Sally Mae from Butterbrain and formerly White Trash, along with filmmaker Jeff Pliskin of Raised Fist Propaganda. Then Sunday, 2 weeks, September 4th, Franz Stahl from Scream, Wall, formerly of the Foo Fighters. And then Wednesday, September 14th, the legend, Don Fury will be on the show.
These are good shows right here.
Yo, they're all good.
I'm looking forward to that Franz Stahl show.
Yeah.
I was a big Wolf fan, actually. That band was really good.
Whoa, that was him and his brother.
Yeah,
Pete.
That's right. That's right. That was good stuff. I still have it over here.
Anybody you want to shout out?
No, I shouted my people out already, you know?
My people.
My people, you're all my people.
Yo, I shouted my people out.
I raised my mug. I raised my mug to you all.
Hey, here's to you. Here's to everybody out there on this Sunday, huh?
Death Wish Espresso today.
Ginger tea with lots of honey in it.
That's how you keep that silky voice.
Yeah, right. All right, man. I'll see you in a bit.
See everybody later.
All right. Well, there you have it. This is the one, the only New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. We are sponsored by the Organic Grill, the Texas Silver Rush, DTFM Vinyl Distro, Generation Records, 126 Hardcore Clothing, Grunge and Grime Soap Company, DeWolf Publishing, and New York Hardcore Comics opened back in 2013 when lifelong friends Debo the Pro and Lee Fairley combined their collections and obsessions for comic books, punk rock, toys and statues, magic, gathering, and all things horror. Speaking of horror, me and the female unit, we just watched The Omen. And before that, we watched Rosemary's Baby. We kind of go on these tangents. You know, we were doing 70s movies, but we got on a road. We decided, you know, got into we do New York 70s movies. Like we did Taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3 and this and that. So we watched Rosemary's Baby. What a great film. It's been a long time since I've seen it, not on regular TV. So there was like really graphic scenes in there that I haven't seen in years. And then we just watched The Omen. She never saw The Omen, and we watched The Omen. Ooh. And all things horror. The store is located at 117 Main Street in Dobbs Ferry, New York. Open 7 days a week and shipping worldwide. Contact them via email at newyorkhardcorecomics@gmail.com or at www.newyorkhardcorecomics.com. All right, enough of me talking about me. Let's clear the deck. Let's bring our guest on. On. It's on like Chi Chong. Yeah. It's all for you, Damien. Yeah, right? It's gnarly, yo. There's some disturbing imagery in that film, you know? Yeah, Rosemary's Baby was good. That's a good, well-directed film. You know what? I'm excited to talk. Let's get our guest on and let's talk film. Today's guest, goddamn, is an accomplished actor and comedian hailing from Brooklyn, New York. As an actor, he is known for his roles in Jungle Fever, Gravesend, Are We There Yet?, Astoria, 30 Rock, The Black Donnellys, Power Book 3, Raising Cain, and many, many others. He's also known for his work with Robert De Niro in the films Goodfellas, A Bronx Tale, Night in the City, and Analyze That. Please welcome, coming at us from Dyker Heights, Brooklyn, Mr. Joseph D'Onofrio. Hey, man.
How you doing? Thank you for having me on the show, and thank you for that great intro. Love it.
Buddy. Yeah, I'm excited to talk film, man.
Me too.
Yeah. What's been going on? You know what? Let's jump into it. What's happening with you since the zombie apocalypse, the pandemic? You know, as a working actor, sort of. You know, how did that shape up and shape out for you?
Well, in the beginning, we just weren't working. Everything was shut down.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was in one of the first productions that started up upstate, and that was before the vaccine, so everyone had to be tested every day and
every day, right? The whole
and 6 feet away and washing your hands and all that other good stuff. But we got through it, and things
what was it? What production was that?
This thing up in Rhode Island called The Family Feud.
Oh, nice. That makes sense. And then what happened? And then what?
No, and then I did a couple of projects after that, and I had to get vaccinated and now boosted, and now you got to get tested like 72 hours before you're on the set, and then they test you when you get to the set. So
they still do that now?
Yeah, and the last thing they did, they tested me like 72 hours before, and then they tested me the day I got on the set, actually.
My brother, he's working for TMZ now, but he was a cinematographer on Expedition Unknown on the Discovery Channel, and they're traveling all over the world. They were testing them like every 5 minutes out there,
Yeah.
when they were out on the road,
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, if they got to test you, you got to test you. Whatever they need, to make it simpler for them, I do whatever they need.
It must have been nice to finally get back to work, huh?
Oh yeah, it was really nice. And then when you go in, you got to get tested, so that takes time. Then you can't even you go to the set, you get tested, and then you got to wait for the results before you could actually get to work. So
yeah. Well, Hobo Cake says, I'm glad sets are still being responsible. Glad you've been safe and able to work. I think they have to be. I don't think sets can function. I don't think they're allowed to, right? I mean, they have to do this. There's not some sets do it and some sets don't. This is how it is,
Yeah, well, I guess it's different on every set now. I mean, in the beginning, it was the same, but now as things are getting, people are getting more COVID and stuff not getting it, but getting more knowledge of COVID. I mean, some sets, they're not testing as much. Some are, some aren't, to be honest with you.
Gotcha. So how did you come up? Where did you come up? How did you come up? Did you grow up in an artistic household?
No, my dad was a bus driver. My mom worked in a hospital. She was a home health care. She went to people's houses and, took care of them.
Mm-hmm. So no, you weren't. How were you exposed to the arts as a young person?
As a young person, I used to like breakdancing. So at like 12 years old, I started breakdancing, and they actually had a class in school, Lafayette High School. It was called the breakdance class. So instead of going to the gym, we went to breakdance class and started breakdancing with a bunch of guys from Coney Island and the Marlboro Projects. And, I was very small and light, so I could do a lot of different moves. So that's what
I have a clip. This is, I know you're in the beginning of this clip. And that's a young you, right?
Yeah, that's like 13, 14 years old. Man, that was in the beginning when I just started breakdancing. We used to go to the city and like put like a cardboard and a linoleum down and like hand out a hat, and people would give us money to watch us breakdancing. Breakdancing was very new at that time. Not too many people knew about it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now let me play a little more of this clip. Was it a little odd? I mean, I guess we've talked about this on the show, is that early on, these sort of things were running head to head, like breakdancing, graffiti, punk rock, hip hop. Like there was a point where they were all very underground. Was it a little odd being a white Italian kid breakdancing?
No, not really. I didn't even pay attention to it, really. I mean, I hung out with all types of people, It didn't matter.
Brooklyn, you're a real Brooklyn guy,
Yeah, we were Brooklyn. Well, I lived close to Coney Island and Bensonhurst. So, I was by Coney Island, I was by the Marlboro Projects, and so breakdancing was just, everybody was doing it. So, I started doing it, and I loved it. I enjoyed it. And that was just like a hobby. Like people, that's what we did. We got up, we went to school, and then we broke danced in the park or did whatever we had to do. Went to the clubs. United Skates we went to in Fort Hamilton Parkway, I remember back in the day.
Now, explain what United Skates of America. What was that, a circuit? What was the United Skates?
United Skates of America was actually like a roller skating ring. But what would happen is after like a certain time, they would close down the roller ring and people would break dance. So that's what we used to do. We used to go there, and then when they used to stop, everybody used to break dance, and it was fun. Then we had the Roller Palace, which was another skating ring in Sheepshead Bay, it closed down, and then everybody broke dance afterwards.
Astoria Lou asks, were you in a breakdancing crew? If so, which one?
Well, I started out, I was in the Fresh Kids from Coney Island, but after I started getting better and I started getting known for my breakdancing, I was in a crew called the New York City Breakers.
Nice.
Which was a talented crew. We did a couple of commercials. We did the Pony commercial. We did the Pringles commercial. And I was breakdancing in those things. And a lot of them were in Beach Street, the movie, but I wasn't in Beach Street because at the time I wasn't with them, but a lot of my crew was in that.
Is it safe to say that you being in the breakdance crew and getting exposure and getting into a couple commercials kind of segued into your personal career in acting?
Yeah, that's the way it had happened. If it wasn't
for
breakdancing, I would have never been an actor. It just happened that I was breakdancing, and I told my mom that somebody wanted to manage me, my breakdancing. So this lady managed me just doing breakdance shows. And then my mom was like, you know what? She didn't like to manage it too much. So we looked in a magazine. It was called Show Business. It was a newspaper.
Sure.
And there was a manager in there, terrific talent, Marianne Leone. And I went up to meet her, and she was like, are you an actor or anything? I said, no, but I'm a breakdancer. Breakdancing's big right now. And I did like a head spin in her office, and she took me on as a client, and she started auditioning me for commercials. And then, I don't know, after a couple of years of breakdancing, she had just told me one day, she was like, would you be interested in auditioning for film and TV. And I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. And
Wow.
she just started sending me out on auditions, and that's how basically it happened.
Now, you had no formal acting training. You never wanted to be an actor per se. Now I grew up in, my dad was a film director. I grew up kind of in the film business, on film sets, and being around stuff. And I wanted to be an actor, and I ended up going to study acting at Emerson College, and I got sidetracked. I got into music and all that. But I had aspirations of being an actor. You never had any of these aspirations growing up?
No, not really.
That's great. That's great.
It was weird. I guess that's why I booked a lot of jobs, because I just was coming in and basically playing myself most of the time. And, and my manager would just tell me, just be yourself. Just read it like Joe. Just read it like Joseph from Brooklyn.
Sure.
Just, and usually, I mean, my first role, I was in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I played like a hoodlum in the show. So it was like, I just went up and, played like a hoodlum. And then it just became like fun. Every time I got an audition, I would look at it and, and be like, oh, wow, this is fun. And I don't know. I guess a lot of people just say I was a natural at the time. But as I kept doing parts, and I kept, that was an extra part I did.
Now you look very young here.
Yeah. I was like 14, 15 years old in that picture.
Okay.
Gary Busey and Nicholas Roeg was a movie called Insignificance.
Wow.
I don't even know if I was an extra part in that. I played like a young kid. I did a couple of extra parts, I did a silent bit in the movie, the Son of Sam movie with Martin Sheen.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, if you ever need to know anything in the neighborhood, you got to find a kid. And then he see me, and he's like, and I point towards an alleyway. I must have been like 15 years old. Yeah.
That's great. I wanted to, I came across, let me see, wow. We're going to bounce around, right?
But I just wanted to finish and say, as I was doing it, the acting, and I was watching different actors, like I was working with all these actors, I started to realize, different techniques and, how to get into characters. And I was learning from these people that I was working with, because I would go to the set and I'd be working with certain actors. And like, before we would do the scene, they would come up to me and they'd get me into the scene. And they talked to me about the scene. And then I started learning. It was kind of like on the job learning. And,
Sure.
And since I was a kid, I mean, I've learned a lot. And now, I do a lot of research on my parts. Sure. I got to know like camera angles and, staying in the light and working with other actors. It's about working with other people also.
Absolutely. And we'll get to some of those greats and some of those great directors you work with. But I just want to, I had this in my personal archive, a Roxy roller rink ticket, which is, I guess this is the Roxy that's in Manhattan, right? And is it, I'm just going back to this for a second. Last kind of breakdance thing. Were you involved in a big a contest at the Roxy, and out of 550 contestants, you landed 6th place? Is that right?
Yep, exactly. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it all got started. I woke up one day and I seen it in the paper that they were having a breakdance contest, and I told my mom to enter me in the contest. And she was like, okay. And then, I don't know, like 2 weeks later, I was like, Mom, did you enter me in the contest? And she was like, Joe, like she didn't, and I was like, Mom, just enter me in the contest. I just want to be in it. And then she entered me, and that's how it started. Yeah, we came out 6th out of, and that's how I got into New York City Breakers. After that is when the New York City Breakers were in that, and they had invited me down to do some shows with them and, practice with them in the city. And, that's how, wow, that's good. It's good that you knew that.
Yeah. I want to shout, and that sort of ties in with some of our people out there. I just want to say that the Roxy hosted a couple of big hardcore shows. Sick of It All played there in 1997 with VOD and Snapcase, and also another Roxy show from 5/17/97. This is a great one. The return of the legendary Agnostic Front was at the Roxy. Agnostic Front, Warzone, Fury of 5, Hatebreed. Look at this bill. So yeah, that was the Roxy's. I don't know if the Roxy building is still there. I think it might be.
Well, it was there for a long time. It turned into 1018 after it was the Roxy's.
I saw Big Audio Dynamite there. I saw a couple of shows there. I think it's still there. You know what? Here's a good one. And like this is early on. I guess what was the best advice you got when you were young? When you were very young, not so much when you were on your way, but is there any sort of watershed moment that you got some advice that you really took to heart when you were sort of going at it that early?
I had got a lot of advice, and I guess the best advice was basically, be a kind human being, be kind, and remember that, when you're working, a lot of people that you're working with have been working for days at a time and hours at a time. So try to take everything with like a grain of salt, and don't really, take things to heart, because sometimes people say things and this, that, in a different tone, or this or that and the other thing. And you got to know, sometimes people are tired and, they're cranky.
Yep.
So they always told me, just go to work, do your job, and don't worry about anything else. Just do your job and do whatever you got to do. You know what I mean? And that's what I do. I go to the set, I do my job, I come prepared. I like to do it, boom, 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 have my lines down, have my lighting, have my where you got to move, my movements and everything down. I try to make everybody's job as easy as possible. That's my thing.
That's good, man. I can relate to that. My dad, the way my dad ran a set was very similar. It was like he used to do this thing. He would call a huddle and bring everybody together. Yeah. It was like my dad was really. There's people I still see to this day, and it's very touching. They say to me, "Your dad was the greatest director I ever worked for." It was just, his sets were great because, back then, you had sets where people were screaming, yelling, quiet, and carrying on, and it was just abrasive,
Yeah, I like to bring a positive energy to the set, and just be likable and have a good time and make it enjoyable for everybody, and that's just how I like to live my life. Even when I'm not on the set, I like to just be happy and having a good time and enjoying my life in a positive way. I mean, there's no sense of being angry and mean. I mean, it's like, what's the sense? We're living, we're alive, man. You might as well enjoy your life. If somebody wants to be mean, I just try to, what am I going to do? I just got to, pray for them,
Yeah. We talked about the breakdance stuff, but you were out there doing some graph stuff as well, right? I mean, who would have thunk it? Zane, man. And, here you are. I can't tell.
That's pretty good style, man. Look at that.
Yeah.
Not bad. I like that E.
Hey, listen, I talked to Mr. Caves today, and he basically told me, like, hey, you were in the game, man. You were in there in the graph game. And I guess, he said basically, you were a bomber, exactly. You were a bomber and not a piecer. Could you explain to the uninitiated what the difference is between a bomber and a piecer?
Well, a piecer is basically somebody that's going to do a lot of good art, like, figures and like their name with like wild styles and colors and stuff. I was basically just a guy who wanted to get up. Like, I wanted my name on every train, on every car, on every inside, on wherever, everywhere. I just wanted it all over the place. I mean, it was like breakdancing. You wanted to break dance, you wanted to be the best breakdancer, and you wanted to, do your thing. But in graffiti, you wanted to be up as much as anybody else. Like, look, that's a top to bottom right there, ZE.
Is that the RR? What train is that? Do you remember?
That's probably either the RR or the B. I was mostly on letters.
That's the BMT. You were a BMT guy, right?
I was a BMT and an IND. I did a couple of numbers, not as many, because I wasn't really uptown. I mean, I did a lot of one trains. That's about it.
Yeah, that's my line up here, man. That's the line I grew up. I grew up on the one train, and I'm still on the one train.
Well, we had 145th. I don't know if you know 145th. They used to have a layup over there. They used to lay up like 9-10 trains every night or every other weekend. Yep. Used to go over there once in a while, and oh yeah, that's a canvas I did. And it's funny because sometimes people ask me, they're like, oh, you want to do a canvas for me? And they pay me money to do canvases, and I'm like, yeah, sure, why not?
Is this a recent piece here?
Yeah, it was crazy. I was down in Miami filming Gravesend, and I posted something that I was in Miami, and this guy, he contacted me on Instagram. He's like, oh, I see you in Miami. Would you be down to do a canvas? And I was like, so I just threw a number out there. I threw a number out there. I was like, yeah, if you give me this. And he was like, yeah, okay. And I was like, whoa. I was like, really? I was like, all right. And that was another one I did for somebody.
Yeah.
And
were you I mean, I know the graph world's very touchy, but were you in were you in the graph crew?
Yeah, I had my own crew. I was CSB, Can't Stop Bombing. We had
I love it.
Can't Stop Bombing,
CSB,
That was
Can't
my own
Stop
crew.
Bombing.
I mean, we had a whole crew, man. We used to be in the Dewey Yard. We used to have the 18th Avenue layups, Church Avenue. Caves was more of a pizza. Caves is excellent and one of the best graffiti writers. Yeah, that was a Metal Man. This guy Metal Man does a lot of metal thing. I did that like a couple of months ago.
Nice.
And I was very honored that he asked me to do this because he
That's
only
awesome.
has the best of the best graffiti writers do his metal. And he asked me, and I was like really, flattered and honored that he asked me. But like I said, Caves is one of the best graffiti writers I know, like Ents and him.
Yep.
And they used to do a lot of good graffiti. But I was just a bomber. I used to go over pieces. Like I would see a piece and I'd be like, ah.
You would just
and I'd throw like a ZE over it. It was like, that was like, we used to always have like beef with everybody and crazy stuff, And Ghost was also up a lot. And Ghost was also good.
Ghost is
graffiti writer.
And then, our friend MQ also, MQ and Ghost and all that. And I see Scam Dust is in the chat room. So
Scam Dust, what's up, my brother?
Yeah. So Citizen has a question. What was the most unique place you tagged back then?
The unique place I tagged.
Yeah. Did you guys get up any, or was it just trains?
Yeah, we did a lot of trains, but we used to do like bridges and like tunnels and walk the tunnels. And like, I remember one time we got on like the train and we went to like Astoria, Queens, and we just like had like a bag of paint and we just walked home on the highway and just rode all over the highway and stuff back in the day.
That's a long walk from Astoria.
Yeah, it was a long walk, like on the BQE back to Bensonhurst. I mean, me and my boy Crow or whatever. We did some crazy stuff. It's like sometimes I think about like how come I didn't get like beat down bad or whatever like that. Because I was like a small guy, like I wasn't really big. But I mean, I used to like have a lot of beef back then.
Yeah, that's what Caves told me. Caves told me like, you were he was a scrappy guy and he had a lot of beef with a lot of people. He said to me.
Yeah, we had a big crew. That's what it was. We had a lot of guys in our crew, and a lot of guys that I hung out with were like, crazy. And, they used to always like, I used to get a phone call from a couple, like one or two friends of mine, like, oh yeah, I ran into this guy that had beef with you, man. I beat him up for you. And I'd be like, oh, all right, cool. And it was crazy because we used to get like phone calls. Everybody had each other's numbers. So they'd call you up on the weekend and like, yo, is this Zane? Like, yeah, yo, I'm going to catch you. I'm going to beat the hell out of you. And like, all right, come to Cropsey Park. We'll be waiting for you.
That's funny you should say that because that comes up in this film that I did, the New York Hardcore Chronicles film that like, it was like, it wasn't out of the ordinary to get a phone, like for your house phone to ring and someone like your mother would answer it and go, it's for you. And somebody would like threaten you and threaten your family. Like this was like in the graffiti world, it was like a constant,
Yeah, but this is before graffiti was like marked as a felony also.
That's
when I was doing graffiti, it was a misdemeanor. It wasn't really,
right.
It was like I got caught once, I remember. And they took us down and they're like, they spray painted my hands and like, then they let me go and stuff like that. It wasn't like a big deal right back then. But once it started to get like to be a big deal, that's when I stopped doing it. I stopped doing graffiti. And I think 1985 is when I did my last tag, like on a train or on anything,
Was there a musical soundtrack to this? Like when you guys were out there, like what kind of music was out there for you when you were a young hoodlum running the streets in New York in the early 80s? Like what were you and your Bensonhurst crew listening to?
KRS-One, Run DMC, LL Cool J, stuff like that, man. That was our jam. LL Cool J, used to love LL Cool J.
Yeah.
You know what? Eric B and Rakim, don't sweat the technique, stuff like that, man,
You know what I had to do? I felt that was coming. So I had to pull out the shot of me and Eric B and Rakim when I worked on the Follow the Leader video back in the day. I felt that was coming.
Follow the Leader. I love that record.
Yeah. I worked on that. I worked on Follow the Leader. and I worked on Microphone Fiend, you know. I
And of
worked
course, Slick Rick and,
yeah.
Dana Dane and all that good stuff.
Dana Dane, yeah.
Oh, forget it. Dana Dane, won't you please lay down?
Let's bring Sid the Kid on real quick. And hey Sid, what's up?
What's up, Drew? What's going on, Joey? How you doing over there?
Good. How you doing, man? Thank you.
Hey, 'cause we're all over here now.
All right, Sid. We're gonna do album of the week.
Oh, wait,
all right?
wait, Drew. Isn't there a picture floating around that you found?
Oh yeah, wait.
Your
I got a great yeah. I gotta find that. Hold on. Where the hell is
great
that?
blackmail photo coming up, people. You'll get a good laugh at my expense.
I gotta find it. Oh, here it is. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Before Sid the Kid was his punk rock self, there he is, Sid, literally Sid the Kid.
Wow.
There you go. What's going on here, Sid?
Oh, I don't know. 1983 at my house. My sister thought it'd be funny to take a photo of me looking stupid, and there you go.
Right.
I mean,
Isn't that one of the Beastie Boys? I think.
Yeah, right.
The Beastie Boys right there.
Joey, in '83, there was still a hardcore band at that time.
Little, yeah. All right, Sid. Let's do. Hold on, I just fucked it up. Let me find it again. Hold on. Let's bang this one out, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is album of the week. Boom. There you go. Album of the week. Go ahead,
motherfuckers.
Go ahead, Sid.
Let's zip into it, everybody. So, 2022 is where we are now. But, if this was 1986, it's the place to be. And obviously, what you're looking at here is Run DMC's Raising Hell, which was recorded at Chunk King Studios, I believe, in late 1985 into early 86, with its release coming out on Profile Records on May 15th of 1986, with Rick Rubin and Russell Simmons producing this. And it's definitely, it would top King of Rock, which was released a year earlier. The album was first certified platinum, I believe, in July 15th, 1986, before it was certified triple platinum by the Recording Industry Artists of America, Association of America, I believe, in April of 87. Raising Hell peaked, I believe, at number 3 on the Billboard 200. And, you have such top hits. You have My Adidas, you have Walk This Way, you have It's Tricky, You Be Illin'. You have 4 singles on that record itself. It's, how can you go wrong with this? They were actually the first, I believe, hip hop group to even be nominated for a Grammy. And, this album was even inducted into the National Recording Registry by the Library of Congress for being culturally and historically or artistically significant. Even when this record was being done, they were working on this record, even when they were touring, coming back, I believe, in late 85, they wanted to do something a little different. Going back to Chunk King Studios, they were in there for 3 months doing this record. And, prior to their producer on the last record, they wanted to switch it up and bring Rick Rubin into the fold. So when you think about that, Rick Rubin's resume speaks for itself. But it started with Run DMC, then Slayer, and then it goes on and on from there. It's like
I listened to this morning, by the way.
Yeah, it's one of those timeless records that you can't, you really can't go wrong with it. And there is a lot to say about this record, Drew and Joseph. Like, there's so much about it, especially, you don't necessarily have to be down with hip hop, or even at that time, it was just something that got played so much, especially on the radio, you couldn't help to listen to it, And
this was a big record for them, man, for sure. Yep. Hey, Joseph, is this any Run DMC? Is this resonate for you? Sort of this record or this era?
Yeah, I mean, that was a Dumb Girl, Raising Hell,
You Be Illin'.
It was the album before that was really my album,
Yeah.
The first album.
The album before that was Kings of Rock, I think.
Yeah, like,
right?
Sucker MCs,
yeah,
My Adidas, Rock Box.
Yeah.
That was more my era. Yeah.
This was I was listening to this morning, Sid, and for anybody else out there that might know this, that the Walk This Way is on this record. And
yes,
if you listen to the album track that's actually on the album, not the video edit that everyone knows from the music video. But if you listen to the track on this album, I guess the producer Rick Rubin lets it play out, and Joe Perry just wails out on a lead for like a minute going, once the, just off on the music, Joe Perry just fucking wails out on this nasty solo. If anybody revisits that, I listened to it this morning. Peter Piper, no joke. Yeah, absolutely. And, I was listening to it this morning, and I have a Run DMC Gold record from the video that I produced, which was later on off the Down with the King record. And I'm hearing them rap on this Raising Hell record. I guess they regurgitate a lot of their stuff because I'm hearing a lot of this stuff that I remember for the song that we did. So I guess back then, a lot of the stuff was regurgitated, but the stuff was real basic. Musically, it was real basic. It was just beatbox shit,
Yeah, because I mean, Rick, basically did most of the instruments and the music. He was in charge of that. Where when DMC and Russell, and all of them were doing their thing, it only really took 3 months to do the record. So basically, like just lyrically, it just flowed with them, and it just went boom, 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 boom. All right, we're done. Next track, boom, boom, boom. All right, next song. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. And again, but like, switching it up with Rick Rubin to, again, to switch it up a bit prior to the previous producer, they wanted to mix it up a bit. And, having this record being one of the biggest records of all time in modern music, that's a real big thing.
Yeah, it was good. All right, Sid, anybody you want to shout out?
Well, Drew, one radio show announcement.
Oh yeah. You gave me the thing. Hold on, let me find it.
Yeah, that thing, nothing. The thing.
Yeah, I got it, wise guy. Here you go. Go ahead. What's up?
All right, guys. Well, we got Monday coming up. Obviously tomorrow, if you're around, if you already know my show, it's right here. Go to mixlr.com/SDK Sound System. I'm gonna be playing strictly hardcore, and I've been getting tons and tons of like submissions from new bands. I'm dying to play a lot of this new stuff because we love the old stuff, but we gotta throw the new shit into. Come on.
All right, Sid.
But Drew, I do want to give one big shout out to somebody who recently passed. Got the news a few days ago. One of my brothers, Panic, passed away. Guys, if you haven't checked out his music, look up Panic DMS on Google. Look at this dude. Was a really good talent that sadly passed away a few days ago, and my condolences to him and his family. Definitely check his work out. It's really, really good, like really good hip hop if you wanted to like get a listen to that.
Right on, Sid. We'll talk to you soon, man.
All right, cheers, guys.
All right. Hey, man. I got something. Wait, I found something else. You'll get a kick out of this. I guess I had him sign this when we did the video because it's dated 1988. Wow. To Drew, Peace, Eric B, 1988.
Wow, I like that.
Yeah, pretty cool, right?
Eric B is so good, Eric B.
That they were great back then.
I'm surprised they don't do no shows. I think Rakim was supposed to do a show I was supposed to go to, but then something happened. He canceled, and then Big Daddy Kane ended up doing the show.
I saw them play here in New York fairly recently, and I was so excited, and we went, and you know what? It wasn't very good.
I like the Sugar Hill Gang and like the Furious Five. You got Scorpio and like Barshawn are friends of mine. So it's like sometimes when they do shows, they always invite me. So I love that. I mean, Sugar Hill Gang was great. We seen Sugar Hill Gang. We seen Greg Nice. We seen Big Daddy Kane was there. And it was great before the show. I mean, Sugar Hill Gang and everyone, we prayed together before the show, man. That was one of my highlights of my life, to pray with Sugar Hill Gang.
Praying with the Sugar Hill Gang.
Man. I'll never forget that my whole life.
Did Do the Right Thing come before Goodfellas for you?
Well, it was Jungle Fever.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Jungle Fever.
Goodfellas was first, and then Jungle Fever was after that. Okay,
so let's jump into this a little bit. How did this come to be? How did you fall into this?
What happened was basically I got a call from my manager at the time, and she said, you got an audition for a movie called Wise Guy. And I was like, okay, because it was based on the book Wise Guy, Goodfellas.
Right. Sure.
And that's what it was called in the beginning.
Joseph,
and I went up,
yeah, right.
I went up and I met with the casting lady, which was Ellen Lewis, great lady.
Mm-hmm.
And they took a Polaroid picture of me. That's how long ago it was. And that was it. And then I got a call, I don't know, a couple of weeks later. They said, you got to meet Marty Scorsese up at Warner Brothers Rockefeller Center. I was like, okay. And I went up and I met him. I don't know, like a week or two later, they said, you got the part. You're playing young Tommy, young Joe.
Was there an arduous audition process? I mean, did you have to get in front of like Scorsese, and was there a heavy audition for this?
I didn't even really audition. I took a picture and then I met with Marty. And then when I met with Marty, he just was like, I don't know, like I told you, like when I was before, like when that audition came up, basically auditioning was just like going up and being myself and having a good time with it. It was like, I wasn't really nervous. It was just like, I get a phone call. Oh, okay. Goodfellas was like maybe the second or third audition I ever had, or like call for a movie in my life. So basically when I went up to meet Marty Scorsese, I really didn't even know who he was. I just knew I had to meet a guy named Marty Scorsese. I didn't know he was like this big director that did all these movies and, So when I met him, I was basically myself. So, hey, how you doing? Ba, ba, ba. And I guess he's seen that I was just that guy that they were looking for.
Right.
And so when I met him, he told me to read with these three guys, like just read from a script. And I read from the script with these three guys. And I remember him telling me like, oh, which one did you like? And then I told him which one I liked. And then I guess that's the guy who got the part as the young Henry Hill. And then I left. But basically it was like no big deal to me. And then, I got the part, and then we went to the set and like, we filmed, and then, it was a great experience.
This line here, was this line ad-libbed or was it handed to you specifically, this line?
That was handed to me because Marty had said that, can you say Henry instead of Henry?
I see.
Yeah,
okay.
Sure.
Right.
But what happened was I always thought it was because Joe Pesci's accent was, when he said Henry, it came out Hendry. But I don't know, like 2 years ago, I was at an event and I was talking to Frank Savino, the guy who was in The Godfather with Robert De Niro, and he was in Goodfellas. And he had told me, he's like, you know why you say Henry? I was like, no. I said, yeah, because Joe Pesci could say Henry. He goes, no, you said it because I told Joe to say it. I told Joe Pesci, you don't say Henry, you say Hendry.
Got it.
And that's what had happened. If it wasn't for Frank, I wouldn't have been saying Hendry.
And of course, that role, I mean, you were great in it, man. And
thank you.
I guess case in point right here, to this day, this is still something in a role that people recognize you for, and you're still signing posters, and that's great. That's really great.
Yeah, I'm actually doing a signing tomorrow. This guy's coming down and he wants me to sign some pictures or whatever. So it's like he takes orders and stuff like that, and he gets like the people, we did one where like, Paul Savino, Tony Darrow, me, Chris, a couple other guys from the cast. They make like pictures and everybody signs it, and then they sell it.
Yeah, sure.
I'm grateful that people, they like the work, and they want to keep it in their house.
Absolutely. So one thing that I noted is that in Goodfellas, you were never on screen. Of course, you were never on screen with Joe Pesci or Ray Liotta because you play them in their younger years. But you were on screen with Robert De Niro, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, right there. There's the picture.
Yeah. This is of course when I see the cases of Pall Malls in the back of the truck. What a great scene when you guys are hustling the cigarettes, and Henry gets busted, and you sneak off into the cars, and then it's a great scene.
You popped your cherry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great when I think about that scene. I remember doing it at City Hall, coming down the stairs, and Marty was like, I had to like bend down my head. Like, it was so uncomfortable doing that scene, but I had to do that so that you could see everybody in the cast. And if you look at the scene when it ends, you could see me like with my head down, and you could see everybody. And it's such an iconic scene. I'm grateful that I got a chance to be in that scene. It was a fun day.
You know, as a young person, it seems that you did somewhat have a focus and have your shit together. Whereas, you know, I can relate to myself in so much as, you know, when I was that age and I was doing auditions and stuff, my focus was really on hanging out with my friends and kind of running the streets. And, you know, is it safe to say you sort of never fell into that sort of drugs and alcohol thing?
No, that was my thing too. I mean, you might think I was focused, but I really wasn't. I was just that guy they were looking for. I mean, I was basically hanging out and doing the same things you were doing. I mean, you know, that's what everybody in Brooklyn or whatever did, you know what I mean? But thank God I'm still alive and I'm still, you know, doing my thing. I mean, at a point in my life, I realized, you know, that wasn't the right thing to do, and I changed my whole life around, to be honest with you.
Good. That makes two of us.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, sometimes people don't grow up, you know, sometimes,
you
know, when you're growing up in an environment, you know, and everybody's doing like, you know, everybody was breakdancing. So I was breakdancing. Everybody was writing graffiti. So I was writing graffiti. So everybody was doing this. So I was doing this. You know what I mean? And it just so happened that acting came along and I was doing the acting and doing this. And, you know, but I think if I would have really been focused on my acting and not hung out as much, I probably would have got farther in my life. But I think, I mean, farther than I am now, but I mean, I think I might have probably been dead because, you know, in a way, you know what I mean? Because the streets and everything were different back then than they are now.
Yeah, absolutely. What soon after, and I know there was things in between, but this is what, 2 or 3 years after Goodfellas?
Yeah, that was, I think, 3 years after.
Yeah, and this, A Bronx Tale, which, you know, for those that are kind of know a little bit about the history of this was Chaz Palminteri's vehicle. You know, the same way that Rocky was Sylvester Stallone's vehicle. This is a legendary story in Hollywood, how Chaz stayed connected to this project and didn't let it go unless, you know, he was in it. And in the end, it worked out for him. And this is one of 2 films that Robert De Niro directed.
Yeah, this was his first film that he directed. Yep, exactly.
Yeah. How did this come to be? Any recollections of this?
Well, first I want to say that, you know, Chaz is amazing writing, amazing everything in this movie. I thought it was outstanding. And if you ever get a chance, you got to see his one-man show.
Yeah.
That The Bronx Tale was written from. What happened was, I remember my agent had called me and said that De Niro was doing a reading of a script that he was interested in. Mm-hmm. And they would like me to read a part in it. I was like, okay, sure, send me the script. So they sent me the script. I went up, I did the reading, and then after that, they were like, they want to book you as Slick. And I remember going up to his office, and every week I would come, we'd meet with like 5 kids, and then 2 days later, he'd call me back up, and it'd be like 5 different kids, but 1 would be the same and 4 would be different. And then every time I came up, it would be like 3 were the same, 4 were the same, until they were like, all right, boom, we got our crew. I guess they were like making sure, putting everybody around me, because I was basically like the first guy who had the part as one of the kids. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then we started shooting.
And De Niro was directing. That's interesting, because, I mean, and you know what? I'll say this: if anybody out there, this is a tough one, but and you know what? You can look it up if you have to. But what was the other film that Robert De Niro directed? Let's see. Yeah, I didn't know it. I didn't know it myself. I knew he only directed one other one, but he only directed. I guess once he directed, he's like, yeah, I'm an actor. This isn't for me. I don't need to.
He's
I
a
don't need
great
to.
director. He's really good. I mean, they did a great job casting the Bronx Tale. I mean, they went all around neighborhoods looking for people. They wanted to get the real deal and, real people. Actually, the guy who played Eddie Mush was actually the real Eddie Mush in real life because they couldn't find anyone to play the part. I mean,
That's
most of
great.
the actors, that was like one of their first things that they ever did. I mean, I was lucky that, I worked with De Niro in Goodfellas. And when I think when I worked with him in Goodfellas, and then when he got the script for Bronx Tale, he basically thought of me. And I don't know, I heard through the grapevine that nobody even auditioned for Slick. I was just the guy who got the part.
That's great.
But yeah.
Great.
And it was great being directed by him. I learned so many things from him. He's a great director, really great director.
That's awesome. And our good friend Astoria Lou says Bronx Tale filmed on 30th Avenue in Astoria.
Yeah.
A lot.
We were there for a couple of months. There for like a month or two, I think. Yeah. That's where my club was, Deuces Wild, and the fight scene and everything. We filmed there, and we filmed some in Brooklyn.
Yep. And yes, Darren, the other film that Robert De Niro directed was called The Good Shepherd.
Yeah.
And
he's a great director. He should direct something else. I guess he's just working so much. He's doing so many different things that he doesn't have time to direct. But I mean,
I guess some people have it. So it's a passion for some people.
Yeah.
Some people, it's something they want to do. A guy like Ron Howard, who came up as a child actor, is a great, is a great director. He had a passion. He wanted to go that way with it. I guess, there's a lot of actors that like
a lot of work. It's a lot of work being a director,
It's
a lot of work.
Yeah.
You're like a coach because you got to make sure everybody on the team, like your dad, you said he huddled with everybody because, everybody works differently. Like some guys, you got to treat differently than other guys because you got to, you're like a coach. You got to get the best out of your actors and the best out of your director of photography. And, and like I said, everybody's working 15 hours a day. And, sometimes people ain't in the best mood. And you got to know how to like get the best out of those people and make them in a good mood and make them feel good and make them feel happy and get the best out of them. And it's hard.
Absolutely. I love the wardrobe design in this film. Really, really great stuff,
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was everything was custom made. Everything was like they measured you and then they came and they brought you the clothes. Yeah, everything was custom made. The hats, the everything. Fitted to your size and everything.
It was a great film. It's like I think for me a Bronx Tale kind of actually stands with a lot of the great Scorsese films. When you think Goodfellas, Casino, Godfather, like almost Bronx Tale, like fits in there in a certain way. It has that feel to it. It was only later that I realized, oh wow, it wasn't directed by it was sort of stands apart, and yet that film is really it's a precious film. It's a great film,
Yeah, well, some people it's in their top 5. It's like sometimes people they'll do like on Facebook, name your top 5 movies, and usually usually Goodfellas and Bronx Tale's in there a lot of the times, like in top 5 gangster movies. I mean, I think Bronx Tale. I mean, the story and just, it's a good story about the working man, about gambling, about everything, about gangsters, about Mickey Mantle. It could teach kids a good lesson,
Yeah, I love the De Niro character in the film, man. It's just really heartfelt character, man. Really,
he was great. That time when Chaz, like, when he went up to Chaz and Chaz like gave him like a beating or whatever.
Yeah,
I love that scene. That's my favorite. When he comes running over, like, what are you doing to my son? He's like, get out of here.
Gina and Scott asks, do you still speak to Lilo?
I see him once in a while at like a trade show or something like that.
Yeah.
That's
the way these things go, right? You work. I mean, for those out there, you're on a film set. It's like being in a band or on tour. It's like being on tour. You're with somebody for a month or 2 months, and you're like constantly seeing him every day. And then 9 times out of 10, people's lives go in other directions, and that's the past that you share with that. That's the past that you share with that particular person, you know. And people, as a reference, think, oh, Joseph and Lilo, they must be best friends or whatever. But you share that you shared that moment together, right?
Yeah, I mean, you work with people, and then, you know, some people you stay in touch with, some people you keep working with.
Yeah.
Some people, you know, everybody's got families, everybody's got things going on, who's got kids, who's got, you know.
Yep.
So it's hard, you know, you don't stay in touch with everybody.
Absolutely. Hey, let me do a break here and do a sponsor shout out for a couple minutes. If you need to step off for a second, we'll come back in 5 minutes and we will continue, and we'll talk about some other stuff, including you playing Al Capone. All
hey,
right?
Thank you.
All
I
right,
look forward to it.
We'll see you in a bit.
Thank you.
Well, there you go. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles live. Our guest today is Joseph D'Onofrio, and what a great show. Get your questions together for later. We got a lot of stuff. Yes, thank you. This is a great show. I knew it was going to be a great show. We do a lot of great shows. We do a lot of great shows lately. You know, we're kind of in the business of doing great shows. Let's talk about our sponsors for a second, being that they're the ones that drive this show and you on Patreon as well. We're sponsored by blah, 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 and DeWolf Publishing. It's a completely independent publishing house formed by authors Amy Yates Wolfing and Stephen D. Lodovico in Philadelphia in 2014. To date, they've released 5 books with widely ranging topics, including graffiti culture, American ska and reggae, punk zine culture, and the soon-to-be published memoir of Adrenaline OD. Their mission is to preserve and curate subculture and its history. Get your face out of that phone and into a book, www.dewolfpublishing.com. Come on now, Grunge and Grime Soap Company are a handmade soap and skincare company with a rock and roll spirit. Based in Nashville, Tennessee, they combine their love for rock music and their love for creating products that are good for your skin and good for your soul. Since 2019, they've been creating high-quality natural handmade soaps and skincare products with ethically sourced and sustainable ingredients. They give 10% of their net proceeds to local and community outreach programs. Visit their website at www.grungeandgrime.com and enter the code DREW, that's DREW, to get 20% off your first order. Yes, it is true. There is a Patreon page. Come. If you haven't joined, it's not too late. There is hope for you yet. Don't be a Patreon. Join Patreon. I want to welcome James Elliott, who just joined Patreon, and thank you. You fully support blah, blah, blah? Good. Yeah, man. There you go. What else do I want to mention? Oh, you know, there's a Bowery Electric show coming up on September 11th, the next one, and it looks like fun. Coming up on September 11th at the Bowery Electric, it is Winter Wolf, Orlando Furioso, Murderers Row, Crazy Eddie, and old school Philly legends, Why Die? That is Sunday, September 11th, free all ages. So get your ass down to the Bowery Electric. Also want to mention, you know what? Let me mention the next 4 shows. If you don't know, the next 4 shows coming up. Speaking of music videos, coming up on Sunday, September 18th, Paris Mayhew of Agros, formerly Chromags, will be on the show. Of course, him and I did many music videos back in the day, including Onyx and Biohazard and Run DMC. We're going to be going through the 20 projects that we did together back then and reminiscing and bringing guests on. So that's the Paris Mayhew Drew Stone music video retrospective, Sunday, September 18th. Sunday, September 25th, Steve Whale of The Business. Wednesday, September 28th, from Wench, Shiny Mama, and PMS, Yana Chipenko. Yeah, this is going to be a good one. Old school A7 represent. And Sunday, October 2nd, from Killing Joke, Prong, Flotsam and Jetsam, The Witches, Troy Gregory will be on the show. So there's a lot lot coming up. Did I mention that Saturday, September 24th in Tompkins Square Park? Here we go. Butterbrain Incendiary Device. It's going to jump off tonight. Our pal Eugene Hutz from Gogo Bordello will be doing a hardcore acoustic set. The mighty Rebelmatic and 24/7 Spies in our beloved Tompkins Square Park. Get your ass down there. It's free, you friggin' bum. What do I need to do? Set up in your living room? Saturday, September 24th in Tompkins Square Park. That said, just make sure everybody's okay. Yes, Troy is a very talented musician. We're looking forward to having him on the show. And Wench, Yana from Wench as well. Yes, Yana. Yep. Crazy Eddie in September. That is correct. That said, let's bring our guest back on. Hey, Joseph.
Hey.
I know we're kind of skipping around a little bit, but this really caught my eye. And give us a little background on what's going on here.
Oh yeah, you see the scars. That's Al Capone. I just finished a movie with Amon Asante called Don Q, and I played Al Capone in that.
And that's in post-production now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And when you went in for the casting call, did you know you were going in for Al Capone?
Well, they actually offered me the part, so I didn't even have to audition. Cool. Yeah,
that's cool.
What happened was a friend of mine was doing it, but there was a role to play my friend's son. So I called him up and asked him about the role, and he said, "Oh, they already casted the son." And he called the director and told the director that I was interested in playing the son or something like that. And then that's when he found out it was cast. But then the director was like, "Oh, but he'd be great for Al Capone." So then they just called up my manager and offered me the role for Al Capone, which was great. And it was a fun thing to do. It was like, I looked at all Al Capone videos. There ain't many of him, but his voice, if you Google Al Capone's voice, you'll hear his voice. He says something like, "I came to this town with $10 in my pocket, and my wife was very good to me." Something like that, with that type of voice.
Right.
So I did that. I actually went to the set, and I told the director about this tape of Al Capone, and I did the voice to him, and he was like, "I want you to say that in the movie." So in the movie, I'm actually saying the word.
Who directed this?
A guy named Claudio Beltran, I think his last name. I can't pronounce his last name. It's Claudio. Hold on.
Is he American or is it an Italian?
He's an Italian guy. He's from Little Italy. Great guy. Oh my God, amazing guy. He wrote it. Claudio Bellante. He wrote it with a guy named Michael Domino. Great script. The script was amazing. And Amon Asante was on board to play Don Q. And I'll never forget, I went up to a reading and Amon Asante was there. And he is such a great person and such a great actor. And Claudio Bellante and Michael, they were so nice producers and treated me great. And I'll never forget, I did a scene with Amon Asante. And like I said, you learn from other actors. And I remember I was doing a scene with him. And before the scene, he came up to me and he said a couple of words to me to get me in the scene. And he's a really, really talented guy, man. It was great just working with him, man. It's like, it's so awesome when you're working with people like that.
Lou says Armand was great in the Gotti movie. I've heard from a lot of people that have praised his take on John Gotti in that film. A lot of people.
He's great in anything he does.
Yeah,
he's an awesome actor. He's very, he's trained and he comes prepared and he's just brings it all, man. He's a very dedicated actor, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me see what.
He's a classy guy. He's a class act, man. He's really nice.
I wanted to ask you about, you mentioned your manager and you mentioned casting and all that. And it seems that obviously having a good manager and a great casting agent is a big part of it. Could you give us some perspective on that?
Well, basically, yeah. I mean, a manager is basically, or an agent is submitting you for parts from the breakdowns that they're getting every day of shows that are going on and things that are going on. So if they see something that's your type, basically they're sending a picture, maybe sending a pitch in an email, maybe making a phone call if they know somebody. I mean, a lot of times I do a lot of work with the same people that I worked with before.
Right.
Like I'll get a call like Don Q. Like I said, I've seen my friend was doing it. So I called up my friend and he called the director and basically he gave me a recommendation that, I was good to work with. I come prepared and, I'm very professional. And, and that's what happens. Even like the Power Book 3, I did that. And then after I did that, I mean, the same casting people called me up and booked me on a job that I didn't even have to audition for, like a couple of weeks after that. And like, Gravesend, Willie DeMeo producing and directing that. I mean, I did like 3 or 4 movies with him and, they keep calling me back because, I come to the set, I do my job and I get it done.
Yeah.
And that's basically, I mean, managers are great and agents are great, but sometimes it's the networking and, and, showing people your worth and, being a good person to work with. I mean, and, word gets around. And, and if you're a bad person to work with, word gets around about that too. And, people don't want to work with you.
Absolutely.
It's a small business.
Yeah, absolutely. Isn't this a still from Gravesend?
Yes, that was a still from Gravesend.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about your work on Gravesend, please.
I played Johnny Mad Dog Mangano. My character is a captain in one of the crime families. And Willie DeMeo plays the lead character of Benny. And I grew up with Benny and, went to school with Benny. And, me and Benny always have talks about the neighborhood and what's going on. And I talk to him about certain things that are happening. And, it's a great show. I mean, the first season's on Amazon right now. They got a lot of good additions to the cast. Amanda Sante's in the cast now. Chaz Palminteri's in it. Fran Drescher, William Forsythe, William DeMeo, of course. And there goes me and William DeMeo. It's on Amazon Prime.
He's great, William DeMeo.
He is amazing. And I mean, the writing and just everything about it, it's so legitimate about Gravesend. And I mean, and William's from Gravesend, and I'm from like Bensonhurst, Gravesend. Yeah. And I know Willie from, back in the day, we grew up together. So, I mean, it's going to be really an authentic story of how Gravesend really was. So it's like, it's not like you got guys in Hollywood writing this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Guys really from Gravesend that wrote it. And I mean, I'm grateful that I'm in it, man. It's going to be a great show. Can't wait till the world sees it.
Here's another shot.
The story, it's the story. The story is, I mean, if you haven't seen it yet, you got to get it on Amazon Prime, man. Yeah, that's from, we were down in Miami because, in the last season, in the first season, someone tries to kill Benny. And, I go down to Miami, and while I'm down there, something happens, but I don't want to give it away, so I'm not going to tell you what happens. But watch the show, you'll see what happens. I don't want to give anything away, but that's what's good about the show. It keeps you on the edge of your seat, wanting to know what's going to happen next. And, that's the great part about the series.
Can I ask you about this block of work that you did? I'm not familiar with this.
Oh, that's the Romanos. That's something that I actually directed. It was a short movie.
Okay.
My friend Renee Wood, which is a phenomenal actress and a friend of mine, we were having dinner one night, and basically we were talking about how people are arguing over social media and, Instagram, and how, it's breaking up relationships and, causing tension between friends. Mm-hmm. It's like you post a picture and then, another friend sees the picture and they're like, oh, how come you didn't invite me? Or why weren't you there? Or like, oh, who's this girl liking your picture? Who's this guy following you? So we were like, you know what, let's do something fun, because I'm actually in the middle of writing a film right now that I want to maybe direct, but I don't think I'm going to direct it because it's, you know, it's a feature length film. So I might let somebody else direct it, but I wanted to get some practice. So I figured, you know what, why don't we write something and do like a 5-minute thing based on, you know, Facebook and, you know, a couple getting into an argument over it. And, you know, I put it in a couple of film festivals and we won a couple of awards and it was a good thing. It's on Vimeo. If anybody wants to see it, you could just inbox me on Instagram and I'll send you the link and you could watch it if you want.
Here you go. And if anybody wants to reach out to Joseph, there's his Instagram. Like he's just said, you have an open invitation to reach out to him and get that link.
Yeah, well, if you just want to reach out to me to say hi or talk to me or whatever like that, I'm open. I talk to, you know, people send me inboxes all the time. If I'm not busy, I'll talk to people back. You know, it's always good to have good friends.
Yo, you know, one thing that I believe, you make the time for the people that care for your art, man. And I always, no matter what, I always find the time for people that reach out to me about the show or about any of my films or about anything, man. And I'm real appreciative that there's people out there that take the time, you know, to enjoy my art. You know,
they like our work, they like us, they want to be our friends. It's funny, sometimes I'll go out, like me and my girl were out, we were eating dinner, whatever, and some guy, I think he had a little too much to drink, and he came over and he said hi or whatever, you know, he liked my work or whatever. And then, like, you know, and then he hung out like the whole night, like, you know, hanging out, and he's like hanging out, like, hey, what's up, what are you doing? And then, like, we're hanging out, and then he comes like, hey, you okay, anybody bothering you? And I'm like, no, I'm okay, man, thank you. You know, and it's like, you know, it's funny that, you know, people want to be around you and talk with you and hang out with you, and, you know, and it's funny, and like take a picture with you and be like, oh, send it to their friend and stuff like that. And, you know, it's great. You know, it's fun. It can get crazy sometimes, but it's fun.
Have you ever done like the Chiller Con or any of those sort of those conventions where you, like, you know, because we happen to go and I've done the Chiller Theater Con in out in Parsippany, and we sort of go out with our crew and we really enjoy them. We go out and because anytime it happens, there's always 2 or 3 people that we know that's doing it, you know, like, you know, and I did it when I directed the Alago film. Me and Alago did it. And so we go out, we walk the room, we say hi. Do you do those from time to time?
Yeah, I did the Chiller up in Parsippany, as a matter of fact. I did it. I don't know. I did it right before COVID.
Right.
Yeah, and the guy actually doing another one, and the guy who's doing it, I don't know, he might want me to come down. I think it's in October or something like that. If I'm available, I'll come. Those are always fun. I did one in LA. I did the Hollywood. It's the Hollywood Bowl, I think it's called. I did one of those. I did sometimes I'll just get a call too. Like since COVID happened, a lot of people are doing private ones.
Yeah.
Where basically you go down and they take orders.
Yeah, I see.
This guy, Bobby Capone, did a couple up in Philly with me. Like I said, a guy's coming down tomorrow, and I'm going to sign. I think he's got 100 pieces or something, and I'm going to sign them for him. Wow. And then, you know, he sends them out or whatever like that. But the show is great, man. There's so many people there. I mean, it's like networking. You're meeting, like, you know, so many people from, like, the Warriors and, like, Tori Spelling, or, like, you know, the guys from the Nerds, and, like, the little guy from Elf. It's like, it's great. You see all these celebrities, and it's great networking too, because you meet people.
Yo, I
love it.
Always, there's always something, like, you know, my uncle Richie was a film editor. I mean, he was an editor on Paul Newman, The Hustler, and you know, he's an OG. He goes way back, and, you know. And Piper Laurie was the actress in The Hustler, and she was doing Chiller, and I approached her. I said, you know, my uncle, you know, Richard Stone, you know, was an assistant editor, and she just, her eyes, you know, wow, our eyes lit up, and we had a nice connection there. So those Chiller things are great. You know, I want to ask you. I know you get out there and you do some stand up, and, like, tell us a little. I mean, I was going to frame this like, do you get a little tired of playing, like, a certain role? Is this an outlet, or how did you get into stand up?
What happened was, I was out to dinner with a bunch of friends one day, and one of the guys was like a stand up comic, and he basically, like, said to me, is like, "Oh yeah, you're a great actor, but I don't think you could do stand up." Like in like a sarcastic way. And I just looked at him. I was like, "Excuse me?" And he was like, he was like, "Yeah, stand up's hard, man. I don't think you could do stand up." And I just looked at him. I was like, dude, yeah, I'm an actor. I never really tried stand up. I would like to try it. I was like, yeah, it's probably hard to do. I mean, I never really tried it. I said I always wanted to try it. And he was like, "Yeah, you probably flop." And I was like, I don't know, maybe I had a drink or two in him. I don't know what he was doing. It was funny. And I just looked at him. I was like, dude, you know what? Why don't you get me in a show? Why don't we give it a try? Because it just happened like that. And then he was like, "You want to do a show?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's do like an open mic or something." He's like, "Okay." And then I don't know. And then, the conversation changed. And then I seen him like, I don't know, like a month and a half after that. And I don't know. It just in my head, I looked at him and I was like, "Dude, whatever happened? I thought we were doing a show." And he looks at me and he's like, "You really wanted to do a show?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's do a show." So he calls up some guy and he's like, "Hey, listen, Joseph D'Onofrio wants to do a show. Can we get a show?" And the guy was like, "Yeah, Dangerfields, July 15th. July 15th. And I don't know, the guy made a deal or whatever. We made the deal and we ended up doing a show. And I did like 8 minutes of comedy. And the guy who owned Dangerfields came up to me and he was like, "Is that your first time doing stand-up?" I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Yo, you were great." He was like, "You want to come back and do another show?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Let's do another show." And then that's how it started. And then, kept doing shows after that and then hosted a couple of shows. And, I'll put on like 2-3 shows a year. It's fun. It's really fun. I mean, the first night I did it, I remember waiting in the room. I was like shaking, man. I was like, that was the most nervous I ever been, like to perform. It was a sold out crowd. There was like 250 people there in Dangerfield. It was like packed, wall to wall. And I remember I was nervous. And then I heard the guy say, "You might know him from Goodfellas or Bronx Tale. Let me give you Joseph D'Onofrio." And I come on stage and I grab the mic and the light like on me and like, the nervousness just went away.
Yeah.
It was like I just turned on. It was like when they say action, it's like boom. And I had my script down in my head. I mean, I had a couple of things scripted, but I like really went off the cuff and I was just trying to be myself. And I'll never forget. And it felt so good. It was even like breakdancing. It was like, I always was like that type of guy. Like I'd love to perform. And it was great when you did the breakdancing and people loved what you did, and it's stand-up's a great feeling, man. I love it.
I've done it. I did improv and stand up, and it's a real jump into the void, man. And it's really enjoyable. I mean, I loved when I did it, but I got a lot of stuff going on. I really couldn't do much of it, but I really loved it when I did it. I got a question from our good friend Scam Dust. And at this point we're kind of poking around a little bit, but he asks about Jungle Fever. Could you give us a little take on your work in Jungle Fever?
Yeah, of course. I'll never forget. I went up to audition and I auditioned to play one of the brothers. That Frank Vincent, the brothers of Annabella Sorosia. And I'll never forget. I went in and I auditioned, and Spike Lee was there. And I don't know, I was just being myself. I walked in, I was like, "Hey, what's up? How you doing?" Da, da, da. And then they called my agent up and they were just like, they want to put you in the movie, but not as a brother. They like made a part for me to play Patty. And I remember I went to the set and I just basically was being myself in the candy store, and just reading. That was like one of my first close-ups ever, Jungle Fever. And Spike Lee was so good, man. I mean, his directing skills.
Is that right?
Off the chart. I mean, now that I look back on it, I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I remember, like, they had rehearsal, like a week rehearsal for the scenes, because we had a lot of scenes. But I remember being in rehearsal, and I really didn't even bring anything to the table because I really didn't know about acting. All I did was be, like I said, playing myself. And, Spike knew I was from Bensonhurst, so I guess that's why they hired me, because they want to have, like, a realistic of the part.
Sure.
And if I was to go back in time and, like, take myself what I know now in acting and go back and do the role now as Patty, I probably would have did it a little differently.
Well,
But
it's it's that great line. It's a shame that youth is spent on the young, right? It's like, if you could go back and take another crack at it. But yeah.
Yeah, but it was fun, man. It was a
Yeah.
great time. I did like 3 weeks on that, man. Working with Spike Lee was one of my. Actually seen him a couple of years ago, and like he gave me a hug or whatever. I don't think he remembered who I was, but it was funny. I was like, "Hey, how you doing, Joseph Denova?" He was like, "Hey, listen, send me your picture and resume. You got a good look." And I was just like, "Oh, cool, man."
I was already in one of your films, man.
Yeah, I didn't even
Yeah.
say that. I was just like, you know what? I didn't want to
Yeah,
bother the guy or whatever like that. But we,
a guy like that, a lot of people have come whizzing by him in this life, man. That guy, when you think about that guy's has a huge body of work, man. A lot of people have come whizzing by.
I love his work and I respect his work, man. The guy is an icon, man. He's great. I would love to work with him again one day. That would be like a dream come true to work with him again.
Yeah, he's done some really some interesting stuff.
Yeah, so I could show him because like I said, I really didn't even really know like about lighting or like staying in a camera angle or anything like that. It's like back then it was just basically acting. A lot of people don't realize, you got to stay in the frame, you got to stay in the light, you got to hit your mark. I mean, if you don't hit your mark, you don't stay in the light, you don't stay in the camera. I mean, they can't use it, and it's like, I'm grateful that now I know about that stuff. But back when I did Jungle Fever, I really didn't know that stuff. I just basically got the part because I was a guy from Bensonhurst.
Yeah. It's like Henry Rollins said, about like, people think acting is, you just stand there and you sort of, but it's like stand on this mark to that mark in this light and then act like yourself.
Yeah.
It's a little more challenging than some might believe,
Yeah, exactly. Well, I didn't act like how I myself was like in real life. Like I wasn't like a racist or a tough guy or a punk or this like that. I would just be myself in those roles as a punk or a gangster or things like that. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That ain't, in the movie, that isn't how I am, but that's how, basically, I think Sidney Poitier said once, the hardest thing to do is to act like yourself in a movie. Sometimes I'll meet other actors that people that want to act like guys I know from the neighborhood, and they're like, "Oh yeah, can you put me in a movie? I want to be in a movie. Help me out, this, that, and the other thing." And then maybe I might have a chance to help them out, and I help them out, and then like they'll act, and it's like, and I'm like, dude, just be yourself. Just be yourself in the situation, and they can't do it, And I'm like, they'll be like,
that's the Jack Nicholson, Steve McQueen school of acting.
It's crazy. It's like they'll say action. They'll be like, "How you doing?" And I'm like, "Dude, is that how you say how you doing in real life?"
Right.
Like, "How you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh my god!" But what are you gonna do? Some people got it. Some people don't.
Hey, is that you I saw in Spider-Man?
Yep. That was a little cameo in Spider-Man.
Yeah, it was cool. Yep. There's been a lot of those Spider-Man movies now,
Oh, forget about it. That was the first one. The first one I was in.
Yeah.
A lot of improv, and that was a lot of improv. And I remember they had a couple of lines, like I was the cop, and they asked a bunch of people, "Well, what do you think about Spider-Man?" And my line was supposed to be, "Yeah, he's okay, but he makes a mess in the city because he's all those webs. Everybody's got to clean them up." And then they were like, just make something up, So I was like, they were like, "Oh, what do you think about Spider-Man?" I was like, I don't know. He's a wackadoo.
And that's what ended up.
I said he's a wackadoo. And they kept it in the movie. He's a wackadoo. It's like, what do you think of Spider-Man? Oh, he's a wackadoo.
Hey, let me do my last sponsor shout out. And we'll come back. I see people are posting questions. I see some really great ones. We'll come back in a couple minutes and we'll take some questions from around the world. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you, Drew.
See you in a minute. Onward we march. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Our guest today is Joseph D'Onofrio, talking about film. And we love talking about film on this show. We are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, The Organic Grill, DTFM Vinyl Distro, Generation Records, 126 Hardcore Clothing, Grunge and Grime Soap Company, DeWolf Publishing, and Joe Romini and the Texas Silver Rush. They're a jewelry design firm and boutique store Located in the birthplace of the Texas country music scene in Fredericksburg, Texas. They specialize in working with all musicians in all music genres to design and create unique one-off pieces, as well as style them for stage, album covers, promo photos, and social media exposure. Their client list includes Rock and Roll Hall of Famers Greg Rolle, Ringo Starr, and of course, Agnostic Front. Information and online sales are being taken at their Facebook and Instagram pages, and of course, www.thetexassilverrush.com. Also, last but not least, the Organic Grill. It's a vegan restaurant now located in the West Village, New York City at 123 3rd Avenue, right next to the Blue Note. Featured in New York Magazine, New York Times, and Veg News, their dishes have won numerous awards, including Best Goddamn Veggie Burger. They make their own cheeses, sausages, and burger patties, and every dish on the menu can be made gluten-free. This year, they're celebrating the 23rd anniversary, and they're all about having a great time while enjoying amazing, clean food. They've now fully reopened for business and look forward to seeing you. Get in touch with them. Order some great food at www.theorganicgrill.com. You know, speaking of the Organic Grill, I want to mention that this event is about to be announced. Our friend who was just recently on the show is coming to New York. We're talking about Mr. Don Foos, formerly of Spud Monsters and One Life All In. He's coming to the Organic Grill on Saturday, October 15th. And he's doing a book signing for his new book, Motivate Me. So come on, get your shoes and socks on, kids. It's right around the corner. Sunday, October 15th, Don Foos will be in New York City signing copies of his new book. I also want to mention, you know what? I want to mention, how about a brand new show? How about a brand new show? Here's something interesting. Here, let me snap back to here. Here's something interesting. On Sunday, October 19th. Speaking of film, another film guy coming on the show. Robbie Steve Davidson is coming on the show. He's a filmmaker. He was also the guitar player in The Exploited for years. He has a new film coming out called Dick Dynamite, 1944. This is a hilarious movie. A lot of our friends are in it, including Vinny Stigma and a lot of other people. He was in the band Certain Death. He played in Billy Bio. He was in The Exploited for years. New film, Dick Dynamite, 1944, with a whole bunch of our friends in it. We're going to have Robbie on, and we are going to talk to him about his music and film career. That said, let's bring our guests back on. Any questions you have, please, now would be the time to post them. Hey, man.
Hey. Well, we going to the Organic Grill, my man.
Yeah, man. That's what I'm talking about. He's always trying to get me down there, you know. It's great. They just moved it to on 3rd Street. I'll let you know.
Third Street and what?
Right next to the Blue Note, right off 6th Avenue.
Oh, well, I got to try it out. I like organic food.
Oh, it's freaking great. Do you know?
They might have just got a guest just from your from you saying it. I might have to go down.
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
You know, I'm real fortunate. I'm real fortunate on this show that the sponsors, they've been with me a long time, and because, you know, something comes out of it. Yeah. So hold on a sec. Yeah, they're outside my window. Here's a good question. This is a really good question that Gina asked. Oh no. Lori Dawn asks. Lori Dawn, of course, for Women of the Pit. You're such a kind person. In A Bronx Tale, the racially motivated assault scenes were so brutal and hard to watch. Were they hard to act out?
Yes, of course. They were hard because, you know, I'm not like that, but I got into a mood. De Niro directed us that, you know, put the lines on the paper. Mm. And we had to do what we had to do. I mean, I grew up around a lot of African-American and Spanish people breakdancing and writing graffiti. So I was like the furthest from being a racist or anything like that. I used to love hanging out with the graffiti and, like, you know, the hip hop and this, that, the other thing. I mean, a lot of my good friends are Black people and Spanish people.
Right on.
So it's just acting.
Yeah, it's just acting. Yep. What's your favorite mob movie?
My favorite mob movie.
Or you know what? Top 3 favorite mob movies. Let's go.
Probably Scarface.
The Scarface with
Al Pacino.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Casino.
I love Casino, man. I just watched that. Listen. Those Scorsese films are they're done so well, man. You know.
Yeah. And let's see, another gangster movie that was one of my favorites. I mean, I like The Irishman. The Irishman was good too.
I enjoyed it a lot, man. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
You know, if you know, we watched it in increments. You know, I think it would be hard to sit down and watch the whole thing at once. But you know, in this day and age, you know, we sat down and watched it. I think in 45 minutes. I think 45 minutes, 45 minutes, 40 or whatever it was. I watched it twice. I really enjoyed The Irishman.
Yeah, I watched the whole thing. I mean, of course, the Bronx Tale and Goodfellas are two of my favorites also, you know, but I'm in them. So really, you know, The Wannabes was good. I did a movie called The Wannabes. That was a good gangster film, a little independent film. But Scarface has always been, I mean, Scarface I could watch like every time it's on. Al Pacino, Carlito's Way is another good one.
Yeah.
I mean, Al Pacino is like really good. And Robert De Niro, I mean, I heard Robert De Niro is doing another gangster movie, something called Wise Guy, man.
Is that
Those
right?
guys are so talented. I mean, Robert De Niro is like the ultimate gangster. I mean, I don't even think you can make a gangster movie without like Al Pacino and Robert De Niro in it.
A Story Lou asks, can you talk on the movie Astoria from 2002 that you did? I remember going into the city to see it.
Oh yeah, Astoria. I played a Greek in that. I played Theo. Yeah, that was a fun movie. Astoria, yeah, really good people. Yeah, it was fun. We went to Astoria. I learned about Greek culture. You know, Greek people, they work in the movie. Basically, I don't know how it is now. This was back in 2000. But I mean, Greek families work for their kids. And, you know, and a lot of them like to gamble and, you know, stuff like that. And, you know, I played the best friend to the main character. Paige, this lady Paige was in it. This guy Stiletto was in it. It was a good movie. You got to check it out.
Do you know, somebody just, let me find this. Oh, here's a good one. Do you know our friend Ditto? Do you know Ditto Montiel? Ditto, he's directed a bunch of stuff. He directed A Guide to Recognizing. Yeah. Do you know, or have you ever worked with Ditto? Ditto comes from our clan. He's an early old school hardcore guy. He directed a film called A Guide to Recognizing Your Saints. He did Empire State. He's out there in Hollywood doing stuff now.
No, but I don't know him, but I'd love to meet him and maybe be in one of his movies one day. Sounds like I fit right in. I think Empire State. Was that with John Leguizamo?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. He also directed Robin Williams in his last role, The Boulevard, before he passed. So yeah, Ditto's like one of our guys, came from our same crew, and ended up. He wrote a memoir about growing up in Astoria, Queens, called A Guide to Recognizing Your Saints. And the memoir got picked up, and one thing led to another. He ended up directing it. Chaz Palminteri played his father. Robert Downey Jr. played him in the film. Wow. And the film, it's a great film. And it was the first first time he directed. He didn't know what he was doing, and it's a great film. You know, he just fell into it, and yeah, it's great. It's a great film.
I'm gonna check it out. Maybe reach out to him on Instagram. Say hello. Yeah. Tell him I'm a friend of Drew Stone.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell him that.
He did the hardcore Chronicles.
Yeah, you tell him that. Yeah, for sure. Kill the Irishman. Do you ever see that movie, Kill the Irishman? Anybody?
No, I haven't, but I heard of it.
My girlfriend's hawking me to watch it with her, and I keep avoiding it. Anybody out there see Kill the Irishman? Let's see what comes back on that. Do you still have the hat from A Bronx Tale?
No, I don't. It's in like an archive somewhere. I think Robert De Niro and the people who made The Bronx Tale have everything like in like in like a warehouse somewhere. They're keeping it. I don't know if maybe put it in a museum or something one day.
I mean, those are guys that have enough sense at this point to keep that stuff and put it,
Yeah.
knowing that at some point, this stuff is going to be, there's going to be a real use for it or value to it,
Everything's preserved and stuff like that. Yeah.
Thomas asks, how was it working with Caves as a director in The Shoemaker?
Oh, it was great. Love working with Caves, man.
Yeah.
Caves was so nice. The Shoemaker, I'll never forget. I went by his tattoo spot, and he told me one day, he's like, he wanted to have coffee or something. He had an idea, and I was like, yeah, sure, let's meet up. So we had coffee. He told me about The Shoemaker, and he offered me a role, and I was like, let's do it. And it was pretty good. It's a really good short movie. I mean, if you haven't seen it yet, you should see it. He should actually screen that again, man, because it was really good. It was about, I think, his uncle that owned a shoemaker.
I haven't seen it. I haven't.
It was good.
I guess
Green, me, him, Vinny Vella. He had a nice little cast in that. I played a bus driver. Yeah,
Nice.
Caves was great directing me that. I mean, Caves is just an all around great, kind person.
Do
man.
you go way back with, like, when did you cross paths with Caves?
I knew Caves from back in the graffiti days and back in the breakdancing days. So I knew Caves when he was like 5'2", man, when he was like really short. And like next time I seen him, he was like so tall. And I'm just like, wow, this guy got tall over time. And yeah, I know Caves for probably like 30 years.
By the way, I called Caves this morning. I said, Caves, can you give me some perspective on this guy? And Caves, Caves, gave me the lowdown, And
yeah, I love Caves, man. I mean, Caves.
Yeah, he loves you too, man.
He's one of those dudes. Like, if he ever called me up and needed something, I'd be like at his house for a second to help him out, man. He's just one of those guys that he don't forget where he came from, and he's just a great all around good dude, man. I love him.
Absolutely. And let me ask you about what's going on here.
Oh yeah, that's the birthday cake.
I see a lot of the usual suspects here. What the birthday cake? What's it?
Val Kilmer right there.
Yeah.
Val Kilmer, Vinny Pastori, Nick Vagaloni, me, Nick Vagaloni, his brother Frankie, bunch of other cats on there, David McGrath. Yeah, that was a movie they did with Lorraine Bracco, Val Kilmer, and what was that other guy's name? And a couple of other guys. It was a movie. It was like basically like a gangster movie, but not a gangster movie. They ended up cutting a lot of my scenes, but I did like 3 or 4 days on that. It was a fun movie. If you haven't seen it, you should see it. It's a great fun movie.
Gotcha. Wow, I just realized I actually had notes for this show. Now, it's always a good show when you don't even look at the notes. You just it just takes off on its own.
Yeah.
Let me see. You sent me some great pictures. What is this is a new project that you have cooking? Is this Return to Danger? Is that right?
Yeah. Return to Danger.
Tell us a little bit about this.
That I play Dippy. I play like a guy who just like works in a warehouse that's supposed to be my dad right there. And he's kind of sick, but he's crazy. And Peter Green plays like the mob boss.
Oh boy, our old friend Peter Green.
Yeah, he plays the mob boss, and he is amazing in this, man. Oh my God. I can't wait to see when they put this together and see it on screen. But we did this. It's like a thriller. It's a thriller. And it was written by a guy named Gary Geraldow, who did another movie I did called, what was it? I think Something Back. I forgot. I did a movie with him a long time ago. And he wrote this other movie, Return to Danger. My friend Judy was producing it, and she was like, oh, we got a part for you in this. And I was like, let's do it, man. And it should be coming out soon. And everybody's going to look. Oh, yeah, The Wrong Path, what we did with Gary was The Wrong Path. He wrote that, and he wrote this Return to Danger, and he's such a great guy. And Miles Kolosky directed it, which is really another good director. Had fun working with him. And, my dad was Sal Rendino, the
Wow.
guy in the picture with me. And Judy Sen Roman was the producer. We had Brian Kolaski in it also, and Gene Gabrielle, and, you know, just an all-around great cast. And they did it in 5 days, dude. They did
Wow.
like 80 pages in 5 days.
Wow.
We shot like 16, 17 hours a day. They got us all in Long Island, put us all in the hotels, and like took us back and forth to the set. And
Man, I got to do that. I got to do that with my script. Just that's what I've been trying to do, is just wrestle it in, you know, you know, if I could wrestle this thing into, you know,
you got to be
a
very
week.
prepared. You got to be
Yeah.
very prepared and know the shots you want and know how to edit it together and know, like, all right, I want
Listen,
a shot here, I want a close up. And you got to have actors that are going to hit their marks and
You know-
know their lines.
You know what? It's coming together, because now I
Yeah.
know you, Peter
There you
Green. here's I'm friends with Peter. Here's a shot of me. Here's a shot of me and Peter here in Michael Alago. You know, Peter Green, and I know Peter Green's very close with Scam Dust.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'm a big fan of Peter Green. He's a talented actor.
Wow,
Man.
he is amazing.
You know,
I love Peter Green.
Yeah.
Anytime I see him, man, I love him, man. He's a great, great, great dude, man. And Scam Dust too, man.
Yeah.
I was
RS7.
with them at a pizza. We did a pizza eating thing at downtown in Williamsburg, and they were there, man. We had a good old time, man. Great people.
Right on. RS70 asks, what actress and director would you love to work with?
Actress, probably Meryl Streep. I would love to work
with Meryl Streep. Go big, bro.
Oh my God, Meryl Streep is my favorite. She's one of my influences. One of the great actress. I mean, I'd love to do TV. I mean, TV is my thing. I like comedy, and I like doing comedy. I guess I'd like to work with, like, you know, Jerry Seinfeld, or what's his name? The guy who does the guy who did Seinfeld with him, Larry David.
Oh, Larry David, sure.
Larry David. I'd love to do some of his show. I mean, that would be like a Green Trump crew, because I know he does a lot of improving, and I love to improv. I like to just get into a character and just like have the director like basically say, you know, just do whatever you want. You know what I mean? And that's usually the best time, when you could just, like, I did this thing, Townhouse Confidential, where I played a broker, a mortgage broker, a sleazy mortgage broker. It was fun. That's another one that should be coming out. It was another good one with, like, you know, it was with a practically unknown cast. Not too many people were really known, but it was just a great script. And the person who wrote it, this lady, Rosalind Resnick, she wrote the script, and she wrote a book, and she wrote the script with it. Yeah. Let me see. Directors, I'd love to work with, like, Sylvester Stallone. I would love for him to direct me in something. Like that new show he's doing, Tulsa King.
I saw that. I saw he's coming out with this new show. Now,
Terry Winters.
This is TV right here. This is you in Gotham, right?
Yeah, Gotham. That was fun. I did an episode of that. I played Chaz.
Yeah. Cool.
Chaz Carmichael. That was a fun day too on Gotham. I only did a day on that. They didn't bring me back, but it was fun.
Good question from James Elliott. I mean, when filming Goodfellas, was the feeling on the set that the film was going to be as big as it turned out to be?
For me, it wasn't, because basically, like I said, I mean, when I did that, that was the second movie set I was ever on.
Sure.
So basically, I was very green to the situation. So I just went in, and I actually had no lines in that till I got to the set, because Marty does a lot of improv, and basically he writes out the scene and then you put the lines in later. But no, I didn't think it was going to be that big. And I mean, I don't know if anybody else did, but it turned out to be pretty big.
Well, it's that film is, you know, that film. And by the way, it's Mikey DeJean says Kill the Irishman is great, underrated. Kill the Irishman is a must see. So it seems like the word has come in on Kill the Irishman. Yes, it's awesome, great flick. So there you go. You know, I think you and I got to see Kill the Irishman.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to download it or get it.
Yeah. It's on Amazon. I haven't watched it. Hey, Hobo Cakes asks, which actor director made the biggest impact on you?
Probably Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro made the biggest impact. I mean, doing Bronx Tale was just like an experience that, you know, I'll never forget. And and Chaz Palminteri and Robert De Niro were big influences on me, and they're big influences now.
Yeah, that makes sense. And here's a still. This is another De Niro movie you were in, correct?
Yep, analyze that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a big gun, right?
Yeah, right? Sheesh. Yeah, guns on the set, man. Be careful, right?
Yeah. That was a real machine gun. And the guy actually told me, don't put your finger when you shoot, when you stop shooting, leave your hand there, because you could chop your finger off if you move it like an inch up or something like that. I'll never forget that. And I didn't, and then that's when I just was like, I didn't move my finger.
Oof. Yeah, that's going to change things quite a bit. That horrible tragedy on that set, man. Terrible.
Oh yeah,
that sucks, man.
Yeah, things. Yeah.
My dad asked a question earlier. Is that what you're saying, Lou? I didn't see my dad on here. How did I miss that?
Oh wow, we got to get that question.
Yeah, we're Did I miss my dad on here? What?
Is he going to try to ask me like a trick question or something like that? Because he knows the business.
Yeah, he does, man. He does. I mean, he knew Sylvester Stallone back in the day, but my dad, my dad. One of the things he always says that Sylvester Stallone always had this script. You know what I mean? Just like Chaz Palminteri, he always had this script. That and in the end. He stayed attached to it, and that was Rocky. You mentioned the script. You have a script?
Yeah, I'm actually in the middle. I got like 3/4 of it done. Comedy horror movie.
Oh, my dad asked about Frank Adonis.
Well, Frank Adonis. Oh,
Frankie Adonis is a family friend of ours.
Oh wow, rest in peace. I love Frankie Adonis.
Yeah,
he lived around the block from me.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Frankie Adonis is the Bensonhurst guy.
Yeah, he lived around the block. He lived on Bath Avenue between Bay 28th and 21st Avenue, and I lived on Bay 29th growing up.
I got to get.
We actually went to the screening of a Goodfellas together, me and Frank.
Is that right?
Yeah, we went in the same car. We went to the screening of Goodfellas.
Him and my dad were very close.
Oh, he was a great actor. He had a lot of good stories, man. Yeah, I miss Frank, man. I miss him. He was a good dude.
I'm pulling a picture here to show. He passed away fairly recently, and boy, there's a guy that I would have loved to have gotten on the show, man.
Ah, man.
I would have loved to have got him on the show. Yeah, I'm trying to pull a picture right now.
I don't think he made it around. Like, I don't think social media was around when he was. Oh
no,
yeah, he was on Facebook for a minute. Yeah, I remember.
No, he was on Facebook, and he was on Facebook, and I talked to him on Facebook, and I reconnected him with my dad.
Yeah, but I know he moved out to Vegas, and he wasn't really acting anymore. He was retired.
Yep. Here I got for those.
His wife and everybody's really nice too.
For those that don't know who Frankie Adonis is, here he goes. He was in, of course, he was in Goodfellas. He was in Raging Bull, and his big Frankie's big kind of big moment was in a movie with Faye Dunaway called The Eyes of Laura Mars.
Oh yeah.
He played the cop, and it was like that was his big role. He had a big role in that,
Yeah, but Frank was in everything. I mean, he was in like Bad Lieutenant, True Romance. True Romance, he had a nice part. Ace Ventura, Casino, he was in. He was in like I think so many movies. Well, even Wolfen, he had a good part.
Really?
I remember. Yeah, The Gambler, The Wall Street, he was in.
That's great.
Yeah, he was in a lot of old time movies.
That's great that you know Frankie. That warms my heart. Frankie's a family friend, man. He's
rest in peace. He's probably looking over us right now.
Yep. True Romance is one of my favorite movies. Yeah, it's a great film.
Yeah, he was great in that. He was always with Christopher Walken. Remember when Christopher Walken was there?
Yeah.
He was there, and they were like chasing him down. He was always that guy. He was a scary looking dude, man.
Yeah,
I think he had one eye.
Right. Wow, very good. Yeah, very good, Anthony. He was Sal the cop in Eyes of Laura Mars. Very good.
Spiker Bensonhurst. Yep, he was in that too. Whenever you needed a Brooklyn guy, he was always there.
Yep. Interesting question. Have you ever been part of any theater on off Broadway or other communities?
Yes, I did an off-Broadway show when I was like 14. It was called Somewhere's Better at the Vineyard Theater.
Nice.
It was funny because a guy named Douglas Abel actually casted me in that. And Douglas Abel actually casted me in a movie called We Own the Night, like 20 years after that. And he actually casted the Saints of Newark, but he didn't give me a part in that one.
You never turned up on the... How could you have never turned up on The Sopranos?
I don't know. I auditioned a bunch of times for it. I guess I just wasn't the right fit for the right part at the right time.
Right.
So, I mean, I auditioned for it a bunch of times, but I loved the show. I thought it was great. I mean, the acting in that is amazing. I mean, you know, the show, the writing, everything about it. I love that show. It's one of my favorite shows of all time.
I'm not familiar with this project you were involved in, Brawler.
The Brawler, yeah.
Yeah, what
was with Zach McGowan. It was a story about. It was the story about the guy that Sylvester Stallone made the movie The Rocky about.
Really?
Yeah, you know what was the guy's name?
The fighter?
The fighter that he made the movie about.
From Bayonne, the Bayonne bleeder, Chuck Wepner.
Yeah, the Bayonne guy.
Chuck Wepner.
Yeah, Chuck Wepner. It's the Brawler is the Chuck Wepner story.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the Chuck Wepner, and Zach McGowan played him, and basically he before he was a boxer, he worked for a guy named Joey G, type of guy that'll rip your eye out for a nickel. And when the guy who directed it, a guy named Ken Krushner, he needed a guy to play that role. He called me up and offered me the role, and you know it was a good movie. You got to check it out, man.
Yeah, I know his story. You know, he was a tough guy from Bayonne, you know, and he ended up fighting Muhammad Ali and putting Muhammad Ali on his ass.
Yeah, and the guy Webner didn't want them to make the movie, and they actually sued the guy who made the movie. They tried to stop it, but the movie was basically they made it without his permission. They made it with all, you know, whatever was in the newspapers and public record.
Sure.
Yeah.
And Sylvester Stallone does say that, you know, that's the guy that inspired Rocky because he was a, you know, almost like a nobody kind of fighter. He was a journeyman who fought Ali. I think he was put in as a replacement. And for that one moment, he put Ali down. And in that one moment, you know, it was all there. It was like the Apollo Creed thing. And that's what really inspired inspired Sylvester Stallone to write the Rocky script. He stepped on Ali's foot, but whatever, he put him down, you know.
Yeah, it's a good story. It tells you about all that stuff about like when he met Sylvester Stallone and they went to court and all. I don't know how true it is, but it's all public record.
Yeah. You know, one last one, and I know you enjoyed working on this one. Are we there yet?
Oh yeah, that was one of the highlights of my career working with.
And look at this ensemble, man. Yeah. You know,
Terry Crews, Gerard Smalls, Christian Finnegan, Essence Atkins. I mean, they're all powerhouse actors, and I mean,
Terry Crews, man, that guy's had a hell of a career as an actor.
Such a nice guy, such a beautiful human being and nice, giving person. Yeah, I was supposed to be on one episode. I ended up doing like 25 instead. Wow. They kept calling me back. Yeah. They kept calling me back.
If you can get it, huh?
What?
That's good work if you can get it, huh?
Yeah, it was great. It was up in Connecticut. They would call me up on like a Thursday and be like, yeah, you're in the next episode. We need you next week. I'd be like, okay, jump on the train, go down to Connecticut, film a couple of scenes. And that was great. Ali Leroy wrote and created that. And that was one of the things where basically I remember after I did the second episode, I went up to him and I was like, hey, you know, Ali, I think I would say this line like this instead of like this. He's like, say whatever you want. He's like,
that's great.
It's your role. It's your character. He goes, the lines are there. He goes, but if you feel like you need to add something or take something away or do something, he goes, just do it. He goes, after you do it, if we don't like it, we'll tell you to change it. But if we like it, we'll leave it. And believe it or not, they never even told me not to say. Anytime I said anything on that show, and that's what I learned from Terry, because I remember doing a couple of scenes, and he'd be like, and the director would never direct me. And I go to Terry, I'd be like, I mean, the director's never telling me what to do. I was like, am I doing something wrong? He's like, no. He goes, you're doing it right. He goes, that's why they're not telling you anything. That's why whenever I'm on a set now, I don't really, I'll do the scene and I'll wait for my notes and I'll listen. I won't ask anything. If you got notes for me, I'll wait for you to give them to me, and I'll do something differently if I have to. But, you know, that's how I approach when I'm on the set. I don't really like to ask the director too many things. I come with my own, how I like to do it and my own way. And then if they want me to adjust, I'll adjust whatever they want me to do.
Well, I think, I'm sure, you know, you've worked with a lot of different directors, but I think that for a certain director, and I know I just being around my dad growing up and stuff, by the time you go through the casting process and you hire an actor, you're hiring the actor to sort of to do what he does, so to speak, and not micromanage. I mean different directors do different things, right? Like you said, some directors just set up, like Woody Allen or whatever, sets up total ad-lib situations where he puts actors together and just sort of, okay, this is the scenario, go, right? Yeah. And then I'm assuming you've worked with directors that are very more regimented, right?
Yeah, some are regimented, most aren't, but most just, most just you go, you do your thing, and then, they give you an adjustment here or there,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, on the Power Book 3, it was great. I mean, I really didn't even get any notes on any scene I ever did in that. And that's when I know I'm doing a good job. When I come to the set, I mean, but sometimes a note's good because I can't see myself. So sometimes I might be doing it a little too angry, or I might be doing it a little too sad, or, or like because, as you know, they shoot out a sequence. So like when I come, I mean, I try to do my homework. Like, I'll try to write down everything. Like, all right, I'm sad here. All right, I'm angry. All right, I'm really angry. So when I come, I look at the script and I know how I got to do it. But, I'm not always right. So sometimes I like to, it's good to be directed.
Two quick ones here. As far as Bronx Tale, was he one of the kids beating up the bikers outside the bar at the end of the infamous bar fight scene?
Yes, I was one of the guys.
Yep. And did you play when you play a young Tommy in Goodfellas, the real Tommy was nuts as a young dude. Did you do any homework on his character?
No, I didn't do any homework on that. Because like I said, I wasn't really, in the game at that time. I mean, but now when I got, like Al Capone, when I got the call to Al Capone, I Googled Al Capone. I did his voice. I wanted to look how he looked. I wanted to do his hand signals. I wanted to have my head a certain way. I wanted the hat. I did my homework, but back then I really didn't do any. I just came and basically did whatever the director told me.
Well, as you've gotten older, you've learned to appreciate and hone your craft, basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
I guess that's what it is. Well, hey, that was a quick 2 hours and 10 minutes, man.
Oh, thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Hey, it was great having you on the show, Joe. And anybody you want to shout out? Anybody you want to thank?
I want to thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank
you for having me on, and thank you for giving me a good conversation and a good platform. And, I want to thank, everybody in the world, man. It's great to be alive today. And, and I want to thank the Organic Grill because I'm going to go over there and have some organic food.
There you go.
We got to meet up there.
I'll reach out. We'll meet down there for dinner, man. And
I want to thank Charles Palminteri. I want to thank William DeMeo. I want to thank Robert De Niro, Spike Lee, anybody who ever directed me, all my managers, my agents, everybody. It's a team effort.
Boy, you got some response, man. People really loved you on the show, man.
I love them.
That's great, man. Joe Frank says this was the hardcore version of Inside the Actors Studio. It was awesome. All right, Joe. All the best to you and your family. God bless
you. Peace and love. Same to you, brother. Take care.
Talk to you soon, man. Okay. Bye-bye. Well, there you go. I hope you had at least half as much fun as I had doing today's show. that was great, man. Yes, Chris Andrews. Yes, funny guy. He was great, man. Yes, yep. Sally Mae. How was the boat show, Sally Mae? Wish I could have went. It was awesome. It was a great show. But then again, we do great shows. That's what we do here. We do our homework, and with your support, we do great shows. If you are thinking and fantasizing about supporting this show, there's a Patreon page. We could use your support, or there's a PayPal page. Let's say you're some mysterious, very wealthy person and would like to contribute to the show. Well, there's a PayPal page right there. Thanks. Yeah, he's one of ours, man. For sure. He was great, man. He was great. And we got, I love doing the film shows, man. Great shows are us. Welcome. Great shows are us. Am I forgetting anything? Hey, here's one last one, right? Here's something. Hey, how you doing, Henry? That great scene. Everybody loves that scene in Goodfellas, man. What a great career he's had, Fucking fantastic. Yeah, the film shows are awesome. And we got another one coming up. I announced the guy that was guitar player in The Exploited is going to come on, and we're going to talk film. So, so there you go. Film shows are coming up. That said, let me clear the deck out of here. Everybody all right? I'm not going to see you for a week. I know, right? I should have asked him to say that. Hey, how you doing, Henry? I should have asked him. Yep. Yeah. See, let me tell you something. I met him a while back, and when I started talking to him, I found out about his breakdancing and graffiti past, and I talked to Mr. Caves about it, and I thought this guy would be a great guest. Not only is he such a proficient actor with such a great career, but he also has this incredible New York background of graffiti and breakdancing. And we could have probably done a deeper dive into the graffiti and the breakdancing, but we try. What are the awards back there, Drew? You know what? Someone noticed. It's very rare that I break them out, but I did for this show. These awards are these are awards that I got for my extreme sports films. There's a couple of them. Best new film, best new producer. These are Extremi awards that I won. One thing that we don't talk about on the show very much is I had a run doing extreme sports films. I directed all the Urban Street Bike Warrior motorcycle films, and they won a bunch of awards. And as a matter of fact, I directed the film 12 O'Clock. Caves, Mr. Caves was a producer. So, so I got a bunch of them. I wanted to do something different today. I thought since it was a film show, I'd break out some of the film. And I moved the Run DMC gold record down. So, in case it came up. But yeah, there's a couple of them. Drew and Evan Stone, best new film, best producer, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, a couple of awards. There's a couple of things in the closet that rarely come out. I sort of have the stage set here, and that kind of thing. Yeah. Hope he's right about De Niro doing another gangster film. That would be pretty cool, right? That'd be awesome. I know I mentioned this before. I'll mention it again. Sunday, October 23rd. We got the Powerhouse guys coming on the show. So that should be cool. There you go. Chris and Eddie from Powerhouse coming on the show Sunday, October. Yo, so many shows are booked at this point. I'm announcing shows left and right. The show's in a good place because people want to come on the show. People reach out to come on the show now. In the beginning, I had to hunt people down. Now, record labels and artists want to come on the show and talk about their career and the new stuff, they have coming out. Is that right? Warner Brothers is producing it. It's called Wise Guys. Wow. Yeah. What other great gangster films? We just watched Godfather 1 and 2 again. Me and my gal watched Godfather 1, 2, and 3 again, and those were great. Great gangster films, like there's been a lot of them, you know. Yes. Eddie, yep. They're coming on the show. That said, God, I'm not going to see you for a week. Hope everybody, Mean Streets. Mean Street, I don't know. I mean, Mean Streets is good, but Mean Streets is cool, but it's a little gritty and grimy. Goodfellas is a masterpiece. Casino is a masterpiece. I mean, filmmaking, cinematography, You know what I didn't really like? What was the one with Johnny Depp and Al Pacino? I forgot what was that one with Johnny Depp and Al Pacino. What am I drawing? Donnie Brasco, right? Donnie Brasco. I didn't like Donnie Brasco was all right. I thought Johnny Depp was too pretty for that. Yeah, Donnie Brasco. Wasn't crazy about that one. Thank you, Sally. I thought Johnny Depp was just too pretty, but it was I. It was I. What else? Depp is no gangster. Yeah, some. What other great gangster film? Here we go. And go. Great gangster films. Let's see. What other great gangster films? You know what? I didn't see Black Mass with Depp as Whitey Bulger. I did not. Listen, come on now. Once Upon a Time in America. I recently rewatched it. Like cool, calm, and collectively. Just like watched it from the beginning, focused up. Fucking great film. Directed by what's his name? Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Who directed Once Upon a Time in America? Drawing a blank. Yeah. Is that right? I thought that was a joke. Someone posted that. Drew got a mention that on Joseph's IMDb page, it said he played Johnny Ramone for a short film. I find that hard to believe. Gangs in New York. I don't know, man. I didn't care much for Gangs in New York. American Gangster. Quentin. You know what Quentin Tarantino film me and my dad loved? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Loved that film. Sergio Leone. Thank you. Sergio Leone, of course. Those classic Clint Eastwood films, those were great. Carlito's Way, it was maybe I have like a weird attachment to that film because I have some friends that worked on it at that time when they shot in New York. Yeah, yes, Scott Earth. Is that right? It's called Movies called Maniac, where he played Johnny Ramone. How do we miss that? Listen, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, people hate that film, but me and my dad, we loved it. We loved it. Fargo, great film. Is Fargo a gangster film? Great film. And of course, Coen Brothers. It's a great film. Fargo is a great film. Pope of Greenwich Village, I need to rewatch. I haven't seen that in a minute. Well, the 96 version of Gotti, isn't that the one with Armand Asante? I've never seen it, but people praise his performance as John Gotti in that film. Colors I haven't seen in a minute. I haven't seen Colors in a minute. The Departed, good one, Sally Mae. Departed was very good. Directed by Scorsese, right? I mean, Departed was very. I think The Departed wasn't that like the last movie Jack Nicholson did? I mean, think about it. Jack Nicholson has disappeared. I guess Jack Nicholson hasn't done a film in like 20 years now. Look up the last film that Jack Nicholson did. I think The Departed's like the last one. Jack Nicholson doesn't even go out in public anymore. He's probably got Alzheimer's or something. Listen, Casino's a masterpiece. You can't say anything about Casino. Masterpiece. Utter masterpiece. Beautiful film, beautifully shot film. One thing I love about Casino is the wardrobe design and the set design in Casino. And come on, Don Rickles, we all love Don Rickles, right? You know. Oh yeah, he's retired. I mean, he doesn't go out in public. I mean, he's probably, doesn't even know who he is at this point. Untouchables, loved it. Love the Untouchables. Directed by Brian De Palma, of course. Love the Untouchables. Speaking of Scarface, right? Robert De Niro plays Scarface in it, right? Yeah, Sharon Stone was great in it. Al Capone. Robert De Niro plays Al Capone in the. Love Kevin Costner is great in that. That's a great film. That Untouchables film is great. Yeah, Jack Nicholson's 85. Yeah. Someone do me a favor. Someone look up what was the last film Jack Nicholson did. Yeah, listen, Casino is just great. L.A. Confidential was good. I haven't seen it in a minute. L.A. Confidential was very good. Jack retired 2013, 10 years ago. Yeah, I think before that, what did he do? A couple like animation voices or something? I don't think he's done anything in a long fucking time. So yeah, that said, what else? Do you know that Sunday, October 16th at the Bowery Electric is No Redeeming Social Value, The Take, Incendiary Device. It's going to jump off tonight. And Live Fast, Die Fast, and Slashers. That is Sunday, October 16th. Get your ass down there. Jack's last movie was what? What's Jack's last movie? Do I need to look this up myself? Let me see. Oh, How Do You Know? Oh, I'm sorry. I got confused. How Do You Know? I thought you were saying, how do you know? Ooh. All right. I don't even know this film. How Do You Know? Here you go. 2010. Yeah. It's been a long time. Is that right, Chris Andrews? Yeah. You saw The Take in Belfast with AF? We love The Take. I directed 2 of their videos. Love that band. How do you know? Fucking awesome show. Thanks. Let's end it on that. Thanks a lot, everybody. We'll see you next week. Until then, do good things, and good things will come to you.